Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. The two invincible talents at the beginning were called trash. Chapter 121. Uncle Wong could only say helplessly. You remember, there are these giant man-eating monsters in spiritual realm number 5. Even if their bodies are damaged, they can recover quickly and are extremely powerful. They are very difficult to kill. He began to draw black squares on the little man again. Zhong Lan's eyes twitched when he saw such a poor painter, and he couldn't help but interrupt Lao Wang. Teacher Zhao, I understand what you mean. Do you want to express that among giants, there are also armor-covered bodies on the surface? Lao Wang nodded happily, and suddenly felt that Zhong Lan was more pleasing to the eye, and thought to himself. As expected of Ahui's son, he is really smart and can tell the truth. After receiving encouragement from Zhong Lan, he immediately became very excited. There are also several kinds of alien giants. I'll draw them for you. Zhong Lan had bulging veins on his forehead. He could only endure the dizziness and try to guess what Lao Wang had drawn as soon as possible in order to end this torture. The more Lao Wang talked, the more he felt that Zhong Lan was extremely smart. Often, as soon as he made his first stroke, Zhong Lan could accurately express what he wanted to express. His initial impression of Zhong Lan changed instantly, and he secretly admired it in his heart. As expected, he is Ahui's child. He is extremely smart. Hey, if I had married Ah way back then, such a smart child would be my baby now. Zhang Chengfei. Ning Tong opened her mouth wide and stared at her big eyes with curved eyelashes, looking back and forth at Zhong Lan and Lao Wang in disbelief. There are a few black spots on the villain's body. Is it covered with armor? The one with two small dots on the chest is the female giant. This is even more outrageous. If the arms are longer, will he be a long-armed giant? Do you two have some other way of communicating behind my back, or is it that you two have a clear understanding of each other but don't have the wings of a colorful phoenix, so I'm superfluous, so I'll leave. Finally, Lao Wang finished explaining the known strange-shaped giants. Cold sweat broke out on Zhong Lan's forehead. Teacher Zhao's painting skills were so terrifying. In just a short while, he felt that it was more difficult than fighting Vegeta. After finishing speaking, Lao Wang concluded, although the giant is a bit bigger and stronger, it is very easy for the awakened to dodge. As long as you are not surrounded by giants, with your level, there should be no danger. As long as their heads and necks are completely destroyed, these giants will die immediately. After everything was said, Lao Wang looked at Zhong Lan and Ning Tong expectantly. So, your answer is to go or not to go? Ning Tong looked at Zhong Lan as usual. Zhong Lan was still a little unsure. After all, there were too many worlds with giant humanoid monsters. But after listening to Teacher Zhao explain the alien titan, he immediately confirmed that the number 5 spiritual realm is the world of Attack on Titan. In the world of Attack on Titan, although the giants are physically powerful and have super recovery capabilities, they all have fatal flaws. The necks of the 9 giants and the innocent giants are their vital points. If their necks are destroyed, they will immediately turn into skeletons. With the ability of a 4th level awakened person, if he has the ability to fly, as long as he does not encounter a wise giant, he can easily destroy the innocent giant without any damage. From this point of view, the difficulty of Spirit Realm number 5 is quite reasonable, unlike Spirit Realm number 3 and Spirit number 4, which are ridiculously difficult. Zhong Lan said in a deep voice. Before I make the final decision, I have another question: how to prevent the invasion of the spiritual realm? Lao Wang spread his hands and shook his head. We don't know either. So far, there has only been one spiritual realm invasion, which was the invasion of ferocious beasts. This is the second time since the world mutated. You need to explore everything by yourself. Lao Wang then gave his own suggestions. According to my guess, combined with your past achievements, there should be an existence like the sea star in the number 1 spiritual realm in the number 5 spiritual realm. If you find it and kill it, you can completely close the spiritual realm and end the invasion of the spiritual realm. Of course, everything is my guess. For details, you will have to adapt accordingly after entering the spiritual realm. Zhong Lan asked Lao Ning. Principal, how many potential points are rewarded in spiritual realm number 5? Lao Ning pushed his eyes and recalled. I remember that killing an ordinary giant will reward you with 2 potential points. Killing a strange giant will reward you with 20 potential points. The upper limit of potential point rewards is 250 points. The duration of the spiritual realm is 5 days. As long as you survive for 5 days, you will be rewarded with 2 potential points. You can return to the real world. Zhong Lan couldn't help but curled his lips. It was only 250 points. Who are you looking down on? I have to get 500 points. The world of is a deformed and sinful world. In Zhong Lan's view, there is no need for titans to exist at all. If his guess is correct, finding the ancestral titan and killing it can completely end the world of Attack on Titan. Destroy it. This world full of ugliness and distortion should not exist, even as a spiritual realm. Zhong Lan lowered his eyelids and said in a low voice, "Okay, when the teleporter arrives tomorrow, we will go to spiritual realm number 5 to put an end to all this." He remembered something again and said to Lao Ning, "By the way, Principal, you can ask Ren Peng and the others if they want to go together. This spiritual realm should not be difficult at all. It is a good opportunity to brush up on potential points." Seeing how confident he was, Lao Wang couldn't help but remind him, "Don't be careless. There are endless giant monsters in the number 5 spiritual realm. As the defenders, the awakened ones have to face tremendous pressure. The largest casualty in history, 70% of the awakened ones died." Zhong Lan smiled and shook his head. "That's because they are too weak. They can't defeat such a weak monster. It's better to buy a piece of tofu and kill them." When Lao Wang saw Zhong Lan's unconcerned look, his good impression just now was greatly reduced. He was so angry that he groaned. "Very good. I hope you can maintain this optimistic attitude after entering the spiritual realm." After saying that, Lao Wang left Ning Zheng's new home and disappeared around the corner in the blink of an eye. Zhong Lan couldn't help but ask Lao Ning, "Principal, who is this person? He looks very arrogant." Lao Ning gave a bitter smile. The angry emperor had repeatedly told him not to reveal his identity, so he could only make up a white lie. It turns out that one of my colleagues is also a 7th level master. Due to physical reasons, he can no longer fight and kill. He wants to find a place to retire. He has conquered several more spiritual realms than me, so I asked him to be the spiritual realm professional course teacher. Must know much more detailed information than I do." Zhong Lan touched his chin and murmured to himself, "It's appropriate to say that, but why? I always feel that one moment he is malicious to me, and the next moment he treats me with blurred eyes, which makes me feel cold all over. This feeling is really strange." Ning Tong also nodded. "Indeed, sometimes, the way he looks at you makes me a little scared." "Dad, this teacher Zhao, is his sexual orientation normal?" Lao Ning thought for a while. It seemed that Emperor Nu had never heard of having a wife, but he also didn't hear that he was a crook. Judging from his mantra during battles, he must be a straight man, otherwise he wouldn't be able to utter such earth-shattering, heart-wrenching words. "Probably, maybe it's a normal orientation." Lao Ning was not too sure and said weakly. The International Spiritual Realm Management Organization, PanWenji, obtained the English version of the list of seed contestants submitted by various countries. United States, Rossetti's 3rd level enhanced system, Dick's 3rd level elemental system. Fuso Kingdom, Shinmurahu, 3rd level special system, Mai Kyoko, 3rd level. Ah Sangwo, Salman Khan, 3rd level elemental system, Katrina Kaif, 3rd level spiritual system. Western 8 Kingdoms. Pan Wenji shook his head as he watched. How could the strongest ones on the list, the 3rd level awakeners, fight against the alien giants in the number 5 spiritual realm, let alone prevent the spiritual realm from invading reality? Suddenly he saw one, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Wagwo, Ning Tong, 4th level high level special system, Zhong Lan, 4th level mid-level enhanced system. Pan Wenji nodded. It seems that the 2 awakened ones with the greatest hope of saving humanity this time are the 2 from Wa. But that alone is not enough. If you want to win, you have to bet on the entire human generation. Subsequently, the whole world issued an unprecedented mobilization order. Everyone who should enter the number 5 spiritual realm should enter, and everyone who can enter should enter. All new generation awakened people of mankind, as long as they meet the conditions, are required to enter the number 5 spiritual realm. As a result, all freshmen and sophomore students were mobilized, and their instructors urgently provided guidance on the precautions for the number 5 spiritual realm. Everyone, Please note that the giant is very difficult to kill. Ordinary damage will automatically recover within a few minutes. Only by destroying its neck and head together can it cause fatal damage. The body of a giant has high temperature. The larger the body, the higher the temperature. If you get too close, it will cause burning damage and even spontaneous combustion of the human body. People who are awakened by the strengthening system should not engage in close combat when their brains are hot. If you are unfortunate enough to be swallowed by a giant, you can give up resistance and pray to return to the embrace of God. There are no cases of survival yet. In addition, there are various alien giants with strong combat power, and their strength is probably between the 4th and 5th levels. When you encounter them, all students must be careful and fight in a roundabout way first, with self-preservation as the first priority. Quote. Also, I would like to remind some students who are full of hormones not to have strange thoughts and behaviors towards female giants. At this critical moment of life and death for all mankind, please put away your strange XP. By the way, the temperature inside the giant's body is extremely high and will burn certain organs to coke. As the pictures were projected one by one, the students in the audience stared blankly, their whole bodies were shaking, and some timid students even started to cry. It's so scary. Why, we are still students and have to face this kind of monster. Saving the world or something, shouldn't it be something that a powerful awakened person should do? I won't go. Even if I give up my identity as an awakened person, I won't go. I will definitely die if I go. Of course, there are also some students whose eyes are shining. Okay, such a big breast, I really want to pounce on it, keep Rua. Let's team up. I have some ideas and I urgently need a partner. Brother, I think so too. If it doesn't work on the inside, it can't be burnt on the outside. The teachers comforted them. Don't worry, you will definitely not be the main ones to solve the invasion of the spiritual realm. You can just treat them as ordinary spiritual realms. You should mainly hold back the ordinary giants on the frontal battlefield and reduce the pressure on the main force. Some well-informed teachers revealed the latest news to students in their classes. According to the latest news, those two from WA will also enter the number 5 spiritual realm. Just don't die and wait for them to figure everything out. Many students heard that those two people would also enter the spiritual realm, and their hearts suddenly felt relieved, and their sadness turned to joy. Will they also go? Great, we are saved. Although I feel uncomfortable thinking about that bald guy, I have to admit that they are indeed a lot better than me. Is it the bald man from China who roasted the big tengu and ate it? It's too cruel. Will he rape the female giant this time? It's hard to say, a pervert like him can do anything. Some students couldn't help but ask others. Which two are the teacher talking about? Why do you suddenly look relaxed? Has your village been disconnected from the internet for 3 months? Who else could be there? The famous bald man from China and his female companion Ning Tong. It's the two of them. I'm afraid we can only rely on these two for this spiritual realm invasion crisis. I feel sad for the giant. Will he be roasted and eaten? In sharp contrast, in the auditorium of Sanjiang University, Lao Ning got the information airdropped by Zhang Anping. He projected the picture on the white screen and explained this spiritual realm and the types of giants to Ren Peng and Tang Yu. Comrade Lao Wang, who is full of interest, was sad because he drank too much last night, so he got up late today and missed the class. There is no other choice but to have Lao Ning personally serve as the spiritual realm instructor. As the pictures passed one by one, Zhang Lan saw 8 forms of intelligent giants: Super Giant, Attack Titan, Female Titan, Armored Titan, Jaw Titan, Beast Titan, Warhammer Titan, and Car Power Titan. But the only thing he didn't see was the picture of the ancestor giant, which made him feel a little uneasy. Either the previous awakened ones were too weak and couldn't come into contact with the ancestral titan, or the ancestral titan didn't exist. If it was the latter, then he might have to go through a lot of trouble if he wanted to destroy the number 5 spiritual realm. Looking at a few more pig teammates, Zhang Lan couldn't help but his eyes twitching. Can you be more serious? Tang Yu's mouth was almost watering. A lot of meat. They are so big and have the ability to regenerate. If you catch one, you can eat it for a long time. Wan Rui puffed up her chest proudly. HMPH, if I become a giant, there will be another alien type, a giant with big headlights. Ren Peng and Zhang Xinghe repeatedly begged Lao Ning. Principal, Show us another picture of the female giant. We feel like we have seen it somewhere. Looking at these inconspicuous things, Zhonglan shook his head helplessly and said, "Don't take it too lightly. There are several kinds of alien giants. Even I feel a lot of pressure when facing them." He said this not because he was really under pressure, but actually to remind several teammates to be careful not to die in the world of Attack on Titan. This time the spirit realm was still in 2 teams. He and Ning Tong shouldered the mission of ending the number 5 spirit realm. They didn't have much energy to take care of them, so they still had to survive on their own. But because after being transported to the number 5 spiritual realm, they will all be within the city wall, so it is no different from forming a collective team. The state of China did not force it, and all qualified awakened people went into battle. After all, they had already sent the strongest duo. If they couldn't handle it, it would be useless to add more people. It was Renpeng and Tang Yu who took the initiative to request to go to the number 5 spiritual realm. Renpeng and the others must keep up with him and Ning Tong, otherwise if a spirit realm falls, they will fall behind by 1 round. With the talents of these few, what awaits them is either death or losing the power of their talents and completely becoming ordinary people. The 4 of them took it together, gritted their teeth, and decided to follow Zhonglan and Ning Tong to fight again. I heard from Lao Ning that when the number 7 spiritual realm is reached, there will be another team dungeon. In that dungeon, all you have to do is hold Zhonglan and Ning Tong tightly. The potential points they gain may be more than the growth of their natural attributes in a lifetime. The greatest opportunity in life is right in front of you. If you don't seize it tightly and miss it, you will never get another chance. As the teleportation circle was rearranged, Lao Ning watched the 6 of them step into the teleportation circle, and he asked Chun Chun. In any case, the first priority is to protect yourself. If the 3 city walls are completely breached by giants, it is said that hiding in the basement will have a greater chance of survival. Lao Wang finally woke up from his hangover and rushed to school. He waved his right hand and shouted to his classmates, "Go in and give me a hard beating. Beat all the giant shit out of me." Well, several students were shattered inside. They were still a special teacher like this, drunk and foul-mouthed. They didn't know what the principal liked about him. As the light flashed, the figures of several students disappeared into the teleportation circle. Lao Wang sighed. Times are progressing. Back then, when we entered the spiritual realm, we had to rely on our lives to get there. Lao Ning knew that he was the first generation of awakened people and couldn't help but ask him, "Wrathful Emperor, what was the state of the spiritual realm back then and why? Everyone who knows about it is keeping it secret." Lao Wang shook his head, with a hint of fear in his eyes. "Don't explore the truth behind the spiritual realm. It's a taboo that humans can't control. Back then, I had a narrow escape and barely survived. In comparison, people who quiterally live a more free and comfortable life, and even I have sons and daughters. God, I am so blind." At this point, Lao Wang couldn't help crying again, and he pulled Lao Ning. "Come on, principal, come and have 2 more drinks with me." Zhonglan felt his eyes go dark and woke up in a dilapidated house. He quickly looked at Ning Tong. Ning Tong didn't know if she felt challenged by Wan Rui. Instead of dressing quickly, she slowly took out the bracelet and handed it to Zhonglan. During this process, a pair of large car lights in the dim room made Zhonglan's eyes wander involuntarily. Zhonglan just wanted to sing a song at this moment. "Whenever I can't find the meaning of existence, whenever I'm lost in the dark night, the brightest star in the night sky, please guide me closer to you. It's better to be in the spiritual realm. If you don't go down to the spiritual realm, how can you get such benefits? Praise Ning Tong, our children will be able to eat well in the future, and there will even be leftover food for his old father to have a full meal." Zhonglan couldn't help but think with joy. Ning Tong blushed furiously in the dark. After a while, she let the combat uniform cover her whole body. Compared with Wan Rui's pair of quilts that she held up every day, her invisible disguise was even better. As soon as they were delayed, they heard a huge crash outside the house. Bang! Dust started falling from the roof. Someone screamed outside the house. "Look, what is that? Is it a man-eating giant? That's not an ordinary giant, that's a super giant. Why, the alien species appeared right up there." Hearing the exclamations of the awakened ones, Zhonglan and Ningtong quickly transformed into clothes and hurried out of the house. I saw a huge head without any expression exposed on the towering city wall. His eyes were shining brightly, steam was rising from his body, and his muscles were exposed. It looked as if someone had just peeled off his skin. His eyes were cold and merciless, staring coldly at the awakened ones in the city wall. Although all the awakened people had seen this kind of giant from the teacher's courseware before, when the super giant 50 or 60 meters tall appeared in front of them, everyone felt deep despair in their hearts. Is this kind of monster really something we can fight against? Zhonglan secretly screamed something bad. Isn't this the scene in Attack on Titan, where the super large giant breaks through the outermost city wall? If the third city wall is breached, humans will have to retreat from the third city wall to the second city wall, and their range of activities will be greatly restricted. And now most of the awakened people have been teleported to the outer city. Once the city wall is broken and endless unsullied giants pour into the city, the awakened people will definitely suffer heavy casualties. Zhonglan has the idea of completely destroying the number 5 spiritual realm this time. In the initial stage, he must maximize the vitality of the awakened human side to maintain combat effectiveness, so that he can carry out follow-up plans. This wall cannot be broken, Zhonglan said to Ningtong with a flash of light in his eyes. I'm going up, help me open a portal above its head. Ningtong nodded without saying anything else. With Zhonglan's strength, he could kill this monster effortlessly. Blue light flashed in her eyes, and a dark blue portal slowly opened in front of Zhonglan. After the mental power attribute has been greatly improved, Ningtong's portal can be maintained for a period of time. It is no longer like the number 1 spiritual realm. When killing the one-eyed starfish, it can only be opened for a short moment before it is drained of mental power. The super giant let out a low roar. Ouch! Then he started kicking Wall Maria hard, a huge wall that stretched for dozens of kilometers, trembling, and about to be broken before his eyes. The awakened ones were all freshmen and sophomore students. They were dominated by fear and screamed in terror. Run quickly, the city wall is about to be broken down. The teacher didn't say that there will be a super giant attack when we come up. Someone come and save us. Before entering the spiritual realm, they were earnestly warned by their teacher that they must rely on strong city walls to fight the giants. If they unfortunately fell into the giant crowd, they would be immediately quartered. When many awakened people heard that the city wall was going to be destroyed, they had no time to put on their clothes and fled from their houses without even leaving. For a moment, they looked around and saw that the whole city was filled with big white buttocks. Zhonglan stepped into the portal and took a few glances at the big water mill of foreign female classmates. He couldn't help but lamented that there were indeed differences between races, and water plates were also divided into large water mill plates and extra large water mill plates. No matter in terms of appearance or volume, they are wider than those of foreign female students and can better withstand high horsepower output. As Zhonglan stepped into the portal, someone suddenly exclaimed, "Look, what is that?" The fleeing awakens turned around and saw a dark blue portal suddenly appearing above the super giant's head. Then a bald man wearing a yellow battle suit and a white cloak suddenly appeared from the portal. He made a punching stance in midair and fell straight down. The awakened people immediately recognized him from his conspicuous clothing and bald head as the famous bald man from China who hugged the goddess thigh and lay all the way to the 5th spiritual realm. What's more, he has a good figure in Wagwo, good abdominal muscles in Wagwo, and the title of the most handsome college student, Zhonglan. Before entering the spiritual realm, some well-informed awakened people have learned from their teachers or parents that the biggest hope for this spiritual realm is the pairing of Zhonglan and Ningtong. The two of them have reached the 4th level together and are a dark horse among the freshmen. If anyone can stop the number 5 spirit realm from invading reality, it can be said that Zhonglan and Ningtong carry the hope of all mankind. But now, the bald man came directly to the sky above the super giant. In the eyes of other students, it was purely an act of seeking death. Didn't his teacher tell him that the super giant's body has high temperature? If you get too close, you will be severely burned and even cause spontaneous combustion of the human body. It's over. We still expect them to end the spiritual realm. Are you going to jump to death so early? No one told him that the body of a super giant has high temperature. If he gets too close, he will be scalded to death. It's over. I'm afraid we will all be annihilated. The despair in everyone's hearts is even stronger. The supergiant noticed someone behind his head, and his body immediately spewed out a large amount of steam. This is the supergiant's unique skill. By consuming his muscles, he instantly emits huge amounts of heat, forming steam that will blow away enemies who try to attack his vitals. Zhong Lan saw that his figure was completely blocked by the supergiant, and there was no longer any risk of exposing his strength. He let out a low drink, and his whole body was filled with energy, which immediately offset the supergiant's steam. In front of him, these giants were no more powerful than a 3-year-old child. Zhong Lan's eyes were filled with anger. The entire Attack on Titan is a tragedy. From Ymir Fritz to Alan, everyone is cursed by the power of the Titan. The inheritance of the power of giants can only be completed through cannibalism. In his opinion, this kind of sinful power is not worthy of remaining in this world. Moreover, if Blue Star is invaded by Spirit Realm number 5, there is no guarantee that evil forces similar to the Divine Punishment Organization will not abuse the power of giants to create giant humanoid weapons. That would turn Blue Star into a second Attack on Titan world, and innocent people would become victims of war. It's time to put an end to the evil giant's power. Go to hell. Zhong Lan roared angrily and punched out, hitting the back of the giant's head hard. The punch force exploded, smashing the super giant's head and neck to pieces. Zhong Lan vaguely saw a human body on the neck, showing a relieved smile, completely turning into flesh foam and dissipating in the air. The super giant's vitals were hit hard and he immediately leaned on the city wall. His huge body emitted a lot of heat and gradually turned into a huge skeleton, completely dead. Zhong Lan landed gently on the city wall, and countless steam rushed into the sky behind him. Under the city wall were awakened people from various countries. Although they didn't know what happened specifically, they only heard a loud bang, and then the giant's head turned into blood foam and floated in the air. They stared at Zhong Lan blankly, their hearts completely shocked. Although they knew that the combination of Zhong Lan and Ning Tong was very strong, they did not expect that Zhong Lan could kill such a super giant with one punch. Previously in Spiritual Realm number 3, Zhong Lan killed the big Tengu with more than a dozen punches. But this time, it seemed that with only one punch, the alien giant in Spiritual Realm number 5 was completely killed by him in an instant. This speed of strength improvement is simply a miracle. Everyone was stunned for a while, and some couldn't help but cheer. We won. This cheer was like a switch. Under the city wall, all the awakened people couldn't help but cheered and some even hugged each other. Of course, those students who don't show off are particularly conspicuous in the crowd. Zhong Lan took advantage of the opportunity to boost his morale and said loudly, "Dear students, it's a little early to be happy. There are a lot of giants. We need everyone to work together to resolve the crisis of the number 5 spiritual realm invasion. I just killed the super giant and found a key. The back of his neck is a vital point. As long as the back of his neck is destroyed, the giant can be eliminated immediately." Under the city wall, classmates who knew Chinese translated Zhong Lan's words into various languages and passed them on to the awakened ones. Everyone sighed. I see, the back of the neck is the key point. If you only need to destroy the back of the neck, the difficulty will plummet. Yes, it seems that his talent really has the effect of increasing luck. Why did he discover such a crucial thing as soon as he came up? Private love, private child supply, production. Zhong Lan pressed his hands down and continued. I suggest that everyone come to the outermost wall to resist the giant attack together. And I suspect that there is a being who rules all the giants in Spirit Realm number 5, just like the one-eyed starfish I killed in Spirit Realm number 1. As long as it is killed, the number 5 spiritual realm will be completely closed, so that the crisis of spiritual realm invasion will be overturned. Encouraged by Zhong Lan, the awakened people gathered their courage and climbed up the city wall to attack the ordinary giants under the city wall. Gradually, they discovered that, as Zhong Lan said, these giants were vulnerable. As long as the back of their necks were destroyed, they would die immediately and turn into a huge skeleton. Compared with the teacher who said that the giant's brain and neck must be destroyed together to completely kill the giant, the difficulty is reduced by at least 5 times. Everyone was excited immediately. You must know that an innocent giant has 2 potential points. It is so easy to kill, it is just like picking it up for free. Gradually, the awakened ones were no longer satisfied with killing the unsullied giants near the city wall. They began to jump off the city wall and attack the unsullied giants wandering in the distance. Seeing the giants falling in pieces like ears of wheat in rice fields, more and more awakened people joined the harvest camp. Zhang Lan saw Tang Yu, Renpeng and the others also joined the team that killed the unsullied giant, and Ning Tong came to him with a solemn expression. I don't know why, but I always have an ominous premonition. Ning Tong's current mental power is over 4,000, which is twice as high as Zhang Lan's. She already has some ability to predict danger. Zhang Lan looked far away and said calmly, 5 days, it won't be so easy, just wait and see. The awakeners who returned home in the evening even held a bonfire party. With the participation of foreign students, the show was so exciting that Zhang Lan was pulled away by Ning Tong, covering her eyes. Ah, Zhang Lan wailed in her heart, I just want to be in line with international standards, criticize and absorb the essence of Western culture. Tong, please let me watch it for a while. Late at night, Zhang Lan looked at the full moon in the sky, which was as bright as a disk, and remembered that his Saiyan talent had not made any progress. He couldn't help but touched his back regretfully. If I had a tail, would I be able to transform now? After transformation, I should be able to directly enter the number 5 spiritual realm. While he was daydreaming, the ground suddenly began to shake, and the classmate who was responsible for guarding the city wall suddenly roared loudly. Giants, lots of giants. The crazy hunting during the day and the passionate social activities at night consume a lot of energy of the awakened people, and only some of them can stay awake. Zhang Lan happens to be one of them. During the day, except for killing the super giant with one strike, he has never done anything else. He really doesn't like the potential of the innocent titan. He wanted to participate in social activities in the evening, but was dragged away by a jealous woman to look at the moon. Fortunately, Zhang Lan maintained a lot of energy. Full of passion and nowhere to vent, he jumped on the city wall and looked into the distance. He was suddenly shocked. The densely packed giant army, which could not be seen to the side at a glance, was marching towards the castle in neat steps. The steaming heat in the sky seemed like the whole world was burning. Zhang Lan's eyes suddenly became solemn. This was obviously the earth roar that would only be activated in the final chapter of Attack on Titan. Why does it appear so early? Moreover, his eyesight is very good, and he can vaguely see other types of alien giants behind the super giants. Zhang Lan was afraid that he had seen wrongly, so he checked with his clairvoyance eyes and confirmed through the shape and posture of the bones. Yes, all 7 giants of wisdom were gathered together. Huge Titan, Female Titan, Armored Titan, Jaw Titan, Beast Titan, Warhammer Titan, and Chariot Titan. Only the Attack Titan and the Founding Titan were not seen. There are more than a few thousand of each type of intelligent giant. The only people who can become giants are Eldians. Based on this number, I am afraid that all humans in the kingdom of Eldia have been turned into alien giants. No wonder not a single human survives within the city walls. Who on earth could do such a crazy thing? If these tens of thousands of alien giants attack, except for Zhang Lan and Ning Tong, I am afraid that all other awakened humans will be wiped out. No wonder Spirit Realm number 5 shows signs of invading reality. Something must have gone wrong. When Renpeng, Tang Yu and others came to the city wall, they opened their mouths in shock when they saw such an exaggerated number of alien giants. When Lao Ning explained the number 5 spiritual realm before, he said that there was only one of these alien giants. Why did they appear in batches this time? Could it be that these alien giants caused the invasion of the spiritual realm? Killing them all will end the spiritual invasion. But with such a large number, whoever could kill them all, even Zhang Lan and Ning Tong, would probably die of exhaustion. Zhang Xinghe asked Zhang Lan, "What should I do, Brother Lan? There are so many alien giants, can you kill them?" Zhang Lan shook his head. He knew that even if he killed all these alien giants, he might not be able to stop the number 5 spiritual realm from invading reality. The top priority is to find the reason for the collective mutation of the Eldians. But now that all human beings are dead, who will he find to communicate with? At this moment, someone suddenly exclaimed, "Oh my God, what is that?" Everyone followed his gaze and saw a ferocious skull hanging from the clouds. This head is the size of a mountain peak, with disheveled hair and numerous teeth. It looks like a ghost. A long spine was connected to the back of the skull's head, and he actually began to speak human words. Ha ha ha, kill you all, and I can return to Blue Star. You abandoned me in this ghost-like world back then. Now it's time for you to pay the price. Die and taste the despair I felt back then. After saying that, the huge skull climbed back into the air and slowly disappeared into the clouds, completely disappearing. And the earth-ringing legion on the ground began to march towards the city wall. The super giant, which was 60 meters high, was like a huge burning city wall, slowly moving towards the awakened ones, emitting endless heat from its body. Zhong Lan opened his clairvoyant eyes and scanned around, and then he realized why he hadn't discovered the ancestor giant before. The skeletons of the ancestor giants actually surrounded the entire island. Zhong Lan had previously thought they were some kind of prehistoric creature fossils. The huge skull of the ancestor giant hung high in the air, looking down coldly from a high position. What happened in spiritual realm number 5 that caused the ancestral titan to become so huge? And listening to what he just said, it seems that he is also a Blue Star Awakener. Not allowing Zhong Lan to think too much, the giant beast began to throw stones at the awakened people from a distance. The huge stones hit the city wall like cannonballs. Even if the city wall was composed of super large giants, it could not withstand such a blow and began to fall off, revealing countless super large giants with ferocious faces and motionless faces. The awakened ones discovered that the city wall was composed of countless super giants, and their psychological defenses suddenly collapsed. Why? The city walls are also full of super giants. I'm really going to die now. Ju-san, are the cherry blossoms in my hometown blooming? They are so beautiful, I can't see them. About to face death, the awakened people all trembled. In the teacher's previous strategy, it was said that only 8 alien giants were relatively powerful. If these 8 alien giants were killed, they would be able to return to reality safely. On the first day when he arrived at spiritual realm number 5, Zhong Lan directly killed the most powerful super giant in front of them. The hope of getting out of spiritual realm number 5 alive. But I never thought that before the day was over, there would suddenly be an endless stream of alien giants. With this number and strength, even if there were 10 times more awakened people, they still wouldn't be able to survive. The awakened ones were trembling one after another, and some of the weak ones were immediately frightened to the point of peeing. I want to go back to Blue Star, someone come and save me. Mom, you don't have to wait for me to eat. I've become a giant's dinner. Someone come and save us. Facing thousands of extremely terrifying giant beasts, the morale of the awakened people suddenly dropped, and everyone's eyes were full of despair. Zhong Lan's heart moved. The super giant at his feet came from the ancestor Ymir and was not affected by the giant ancestor giant in the sky. The super giant outside should have been transformed by the giant ancestor giant in the sky. From this point of view, there should be 2 ancestral giants in spiritual realm number 5. What went wrong? Without having time to think about it, Zhong Lan knew that if he dragged on any longer, everyone would either be trampled to pulp by the super giant or swallowed by other giants. The top priority was to find the ancestral giant and kill it with one strike in order to completely end the mutation of the number 5 spiritual realm. He said loudly, "Everyone, listen to me. The monster just now is the final boss of spirit realm number 5. If I kill him, these giants will become ordinary people." When everyone heard what he said, hope suddenly filled their eyes. Seeing everyone's fighting spirit rising, Zhong Lan continued. "But before I kill the final boss, you must hold on, otherwise no one can save you. Asking for help is worse than asking for help. I believe in your strength, you are the strongest." Ren Peng followed Zhong Lan and roared, "Come on, brothers, we will die for thousands of years. Fight them, it's just a pile of hot rotten meat." Seeing that his morale was working, Zhong Lan jumped and landed on the head of a super giant. With a light punch, its head and the back of its neck were all smashed into pieces, and the super large giant immediately collapsed to the ground. He said, jumping back to the wall, "Don't let them get close to the city walls. If all 3 walls are destroyed, the giants with the height advantage will have the upper hand. You hold on, Ning Tong and I are going." After saying that, he nodded to Ning Tong, and the 2 of them flew into the air with a blue light emitting from their bodies. Everyone looked at the 2 of them with envy, and vowed that if they had the chance, they must first increase their spirit to 1000, especially in the 5th spiritual realm. If you can fly in the air, you will be invincible. Inspired by Zhonglan, the awakened ones cooperated with each other. They first soaked their whole bodies with ice and water spells, and then used tough sharp weapons to kill the super giant behind the head and human body. For a moment, the super giants fell to the ground and died one after another, like harvested rice, without any resistance. There was a cold snort in the air. Very good, now it's my turn to fight back. Behind the super giant, various alien giants, armored giants, and female giants rushed out of the thick fog. They had strong protective capabilities and could condense crystals on the back of their necks to prevent them from being easily killed. For a time, the battle situation reached a stalemate, and casualties began to appear on the awakened side. Zhonglan and Ningtong flew into the sky, and the huge ancestor giant in the sky immediately noticed them, and he smiled ferociously. Oh, is there still a 4th level awakening? It's rare that after so many spiritual realms, you are still the first couple. Zhonglan asked him with a calm face. Who are you, and why do you know about the awakened? And shouldn't the spiritual realm be reset every year? How do you retain your memory until now? The huge ancestor giant laughed loudly. I didn't expect you to know so much about the spiritual realm, but it's of no use. Both you and this little girl will die. I am only a 4th level awakened person, but I am now comparable to a 6th level awakened person. Zhonglan's eyes were sharp. He suddenly disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the giant ancestor giant. Compared with the huge hill-like head, Zhonglan's body was like an ant, but at this moment, this ant made the ancestor giant feel a huge threat. His pupils were constricted. Impossible, you are definitely not a 4th level awakened person. Who are you? Zhonglan didn't even bother to answer his questions. He just wanted to smash this disgusting world to pieces. Go to hell. A fist wearing a red glove continued to enlarge in front of the giant ancestor giant, although the size of the fist was insignificant. But the ancestor giant seemed to see a big word, death, that kept getting bigger before his eyes. With bang, a loud noise, the super large ancestor giant was suddenly stunned. A crack appeared on the bones of his forehead, and then the huge face began to glow white and cracked inch by inch. It's good, but it's not enough. You can't kill me. Soon, I will be back again. Roar. The entire head of the ancestor giant turned into ashes and floated in the air, and then the huge gray-white spine also began to slowly crack. With a roar, his entire body was completely reduced to ashes in the air. Ningtong flew over, wrapped Zhonglan in his position, and asked him. Is he dead? Zhonglan felt it carefully, shook his head and said in a deep voice. I feel that he is not dead, otherwise the spiritual realm should send out a prompt now. Obviously, the number 5 spiritual realm has appeared. Due to some unknown changes, the big boss has come back from the dead. Isn't this cheating? Zhonglan thought for a while and found nothing, so he could only say to Ningtong. Let's go back first and see what's going on the other side of the city wall. Near the city wall, several giants have all approached the city wall, and the humans are trying their best to stop them. Enhanced Awakeners are the main force on the battlefield. Their high agility allows them to quickly approach the back of the giant's neck and deliver a fatal blow to the giant. But they were also the most seriously injured. The high temperature emitted by the supergiant caused the air temperature to rise sharply, and even breathing may burn the respiratory tract. The supergiants frequently used the steam jet trick, and many awakened people's clothes began to catch fire, and they could only fight with their bare buttocks. A magnificent scene suddenly appeared on the battlefield. The giants themselves wore no clothes, and the awakened ones' clothes caught fire and had to take off their clothes. In the end, everyone was fighting naked. That's fine, come naked and leave naked. At this critical moment of life and death, the girls in the recovery department tried their best to treat the wounded with their own abilities. Girls with water and ice attributes have become a hot commodity and are surrounded by countless people. Quick, give me one. I'm so thirsty, let me take a sip. The spiritual awakeners had no effect on the giants. They found that after the skills were used, the giants had no response. What they faced seemed to be soulless walking corpses. But the awakened ones were still too weak after all. The super large giants were like giant chariots, moving forward slowly but surely, and everything that stood in front of them was ruthlessly destroyed. At the front, the arm of the super giant has touched the city wall. It's over now. Why haven't Zhonglan and Ningtong settled it yet? Everyone is preparing to retreat to the second city wall. Deep despair surged in the hearts of the awakened ones. Are they still defeated after all? You must know that the number 5 spiritual realm has just begun, and they have lost one city wall, and there are only 3 city walls in total. Once completely destroyed by the super giant, humanity will be completely defeated. At this critical moment, all the giants suddenly froze. As if receiving some order, they all turned around, turned their backs to the city wall, and slowly dispersed. The awakened ones were breathing heavily, with joy of birth in their eyes. Everyone looked at each other in disbelief and hesitated. We won, probably, otherwise why would the giant retreat? It should be Zhonglan and Ningtong who killed the big boss. Look, they're back. Did they succeed? Ren Peng came up and asked Zhong Landau hesitantly. Did you kill the final boss? Zhong Lan shook his head. Although I killed him, I feel that it is not over. Otherwise, the spirit realm will make an announcement and we will return to reality. But now, it is obvious that the battle is still going on. No matter what, the awakened people were able to take a breather for the time being. They seized the time and returned to their houses to take a rest. Zhong Lan did not return to the house for the time being. He stood on the city wall and looked at the empty land. The corpses of super giants after their death were everywhere, emitting white steam. Under the pale moonlight, it looked even more eerie. Zhong Lan always felt that the existence of a super giant with 2 wills at the same time was a problem in itself. If the giant ancestor giant in the sky is the real ancestor giant, then why doesn't he call these super giants in the city wall? Once the 3 walls regarded as life by the awakened people completely collapse, it will be easy for the super large ancestor giant to kill the awakened people who are less than the 4th level. But he didn't use the super giant in the city wall. Isn't he the ancestor giant? If he is not the real ancestor giant, then where is the real ancestor giant, and who is controlling the super giants in the city wall to keep them motionless? Is it Ymir or Alan? Where are they? Analyzing the current situation, is it the existence of 2 ancestral giants at the same time that caused the abnormality in the number 5 spiritual realm? Where should we start to solve all this? Zhong Lan couldn't help but shook his head. Even though he knew the plot, he had no clue at the moment. Zhong Lan has always felt disgusted by the sinful power of Titan power. At this moment, he just wants to completely destroy the giant world as soon as possible and return to Blue Star as soon as possible, which is the main business. If you can't figure it out for the moment, then look back and think about it. No matter how many times the giant ancestor Titan is resurrected, it's all because of his one punch. What's more, Zhong Lan still has many hidden cards that he hasn't used yet. Zhong Lan waved her hand and took Ningtong back to the house to sleep. Don't get me wrong, the sound insulation of the house was poor. Even if they want to do something, such as playing poker, they have to consider the feelings of their classmates in the room next to them. Late at night, listening to the calls for spring outside the house, Zhong Lan wished he could let the giant in and trample them all to death. Early the next morning, Zhong Lan got a big loudspeaker from nowhere, and roared with Chi Luk Dantian. Don't even sleep, the giant is coming. In an instant, all the awakened people were awakened and rushed out of the room with angry expressions on their faces. Who is so unethical and shouting there so early in the morning? How can there be a giant? When everyone saw a man in a yellow battle suit with shining lights on his head. Their angry faces suddenly changed rapidly, and they all smiled at each other. Brother Zhong Lan, are you so energetic this morning? Goddess Zhong Lan, I love you. Come to my room and take a nap. Male god, I am the awakened person of the water system. I am particularly good at healing. Zhong Lan couldn't help but glare at the girl who claimed to be a water type, remembering her face firmly. With my strength, I need a spa treatment. Do you look down on me? Zhong Lan said in a deep voice. Everyone, although I defeated the big boss yesterday, the spiritual realm notification was not triggered, which means that he was not completely eliminated. Today, while the giant did not attack, I hope everyone can help me do one thing, and that is to dig out 3 feet from the ground. Zhang Lan vaguely remembered that there was a basement in the royal city, which was the inheritance place of the royal families of the past dynasties. There should be some clues about the ancestor giants there. Alan was also in the basement when he came into contact with Ymir's soul, learned the truth about the giant, and was finally able to activate the Earth's cry. Therefore, in fact, there is only one ancestral giant, Ymir, and the others are just borrowing her power. The 8 wise giants and the innocent giant are all her descendants. Her spinal fluid was the key substance that passed down the giant's power. If you could talk to Ymir directly, you should be able to learn the truth about the emergence of the 2 ancestral giants. The awakened people now listen to Zhang Lan's words as if they are imperial edicts. They have no choice but who makes Zhang Lan the strongest now. Not only is he the strongest, but he also has incredible luck, and the most irritating appearance is invincible. Together, these things make him absolutely righteous. Digging 3 feet into the ground. We can just dig, as long as there are no giants underground. Half a day later, Zhang Lan got the news. The awakened people discovered a magical underground cave under a church in the royal city district. There were giant skeletons inside, and the walls were made of luminous crystals. Zhang Lan's eyes suddenly focused. It should be here. He remembered that the royal family's inheritance rituals all need to be carried out in this underground cave. The crystals on the wall are called ice waterfall stones, which are suspected to be related to the inheritance of the power of the ancestors. Zhang Lan jumped several times and came to the church. A huge skeleton filled the cave. He found that the awakened people here only stood at the door and did not dare to enter because they were afraid. Zhang Lan entered the underground cave alone. The cold breath lingered around his body. Zhang Lan felt a chill from his heart. With his current powerful body, he shouldn't feel this way even if he is exposed to a vacuum environment. He could feel this chill, which should come from the soul level. Zhang Lan estimated that the skeleton in the cave at the moment was either Ymir or Alan, or both. Zhang Lan tried to communicate with the 2 ancestor giants. He stroked the huge skeleton and said in a deep voice, "I am an awakened person from Blue Star. If you have any questions, you can tell me." The next moment, his eyes blurred and he stood on a wide black road. In front of him, a man and a short woman appeared quietly, without saying a word. The man has a mustache, while the woman is like a little girl, with a stooped body. Zhang Lan understood that these should be Alan and Ymir. He said solemnly, "What is going on? You 2 are here, why is there an ancestor giant outside?" Alan and Ymir did not speak, and the scenery in front of Zhang Lan suddenly changed. He seemed to have traveled across time and space and returned to the day when Alan obtained the power of his ancestors. In the underground cave, Oren's soul entered the giant's causeway, and he hugged Ymir from behind. "In this world, the Eldians have suffered too much. It's time to end this deformed world. I need your power, Ymir. Give it to me and let me end all of this." Then, the screen turned, and Alan was kneeling in the underground cave in the form of Attack Titan. A dark giant insect with tentacles was drilling into his spine. Alan roared in pain. Even in the body of the Attack Titan, he couldn't bear the pain. The giant insect that is burrowing into his spine is called a grotesque, a parasite. Humans parasitized by it will gain the power of the ancestors of giants, and can even transform their own blood descendants into super giants. The grotesque bug is the key for Ymir to obtain the power of the giant. At this moment, Alan is accepting the inheritance. If nothing else happens, he should be the one to activate the Earth Roar. Mikas's team will then kill him, ending the inheritance of the Titan's power and completely ending the tragic fate of the Eldians. At this critical moment, the huge pitch-black insect was absorbed by a dark red invisible force and pulled out of Alan's spine. Blood spurted out wildly, and Alan roared angrily, rushing towards the grotesque insect, but was stopped by a strong man with domed muscles. "Hey, you disgusting thing, let me have some fun with you." Alan was going crazy and wanted to take back the weird worm. The strength of Attack on Titan was only at the 3rd or 4th level. He was blocked by several 3rd Order Awakeners and was unable to take back the weird worm for a while. The grotesque insect must rely on the human body to exist. After being away from the human body for a long time, it struggled like crazy and actually broke through the shackles of the dark red light and penetrated into the body of the awakened person in front of it. In an instant, a huge bolt of lightning exploded on the spot. In the underground cave, a huge human figure slowly formed. What kind of power is this? Ha ha ha, it turns out that this is the truth about giants. That's great. When I return to Blue Star, I can dominate the world. Then the awakened one, relying on the power of the ancestral titan, killed his companions and Aren's attack titan. Then the scene changed again, and the ancestor giant, as huge as the mainland, shrouded Parati Island in his body. As the lightning struck down, the humans within the range of his ribs were transformed into giants. The scene slowly ended, and Zhonglan understood what had happened. A group of awakened people accidentally bumped into Alan, who was receiving the power of the ancestor. Human greed killed this team of awakened people. The awakened person who was parasitized by the weird bug, because he was integrated into the key items of the number 5 spiritual realm, became one with him, ultimately making him unable to return to the Blue Star. Spiritual realm number 5 was also unable to reset normally because key plot items were taken away. Soon the entire spiritual realm world was on the verge of collapse. These beasts. Zhonglan instantly surged with endless killing intent. Ymir and Alan had empty eyes, like two dead corpses. After they demonstrated all this, their figures slowly disappeared in front of Zhonglan. Zhonglan remembered something again and asked quickly, "Why can he be resurrected even after I beat him to death?" Ymir's dissipated figure solidified again, she said in Zhonglan's mind. "Kill the grotesque bug and both he and I will die completely." After she finished speaking, she said no more, her figure completely turned into a blur and disappeared. Zhonglan suddenly realized that he had only killed the giant ancestor giant's body and not the grotesque insect, so he could continue to be resurrected. From this point of view, the human beings who have been parasitized by the weird bugs are actually equivalent to having their souls completely devoured by the weird bugs. Their souls will not be freed until the weird bugs die. Zhonglan understood the cause and effect, and was immediately confident in solving the crisis in the number 5 spiritual realm. All he had to do was kill that disgusting grotesque bug to end this cycle of evil once and for all. The grotesque bug usually parasitizes in the body of the ancestor giant. When he destroys the ancestor giant again, the grotesque bug's true body will definitely be exposed. At that time, it will be the death of this disgusting bug. Zhonglan nodded in the air and said, "Don't worry, when he appears again, it will be his death." Zhonglan also understood why the super giants were divided into two groups. One group was the super giants controlled by Ymir and Alan, which were built into the city wall. The other group was controlled by the giant ancestor titan and had to obey the will of the grotesque insects and attack the awakened ones. These alien giants were transformed by Eldians. If they could speak, they would be crying and begging at this moment. After nightfall, the super large giants gathered again in the distance, and the dark night sky was coated with a blood-red bottom. In yesterday's fierce battle, although the awakened ones resisted the giants' attack, they also suffered heavy losses. At least 1/3 of the awakened people who were able to implement the Owl Leader's plan yesterday were unable to fight anymore. I'm afraid that the awakened ones will be completely wiped out by the giant tonight just relying on their own power. But everyone was not completely panicked. Everyone stood on the city wall and turned their attention to Zhonglan. If there is anyone among these tens of thousands of giants who can kill the big boss and bring them back to Blue Star, it is only Zhonglan. Everyone looked at Zhonglan's white cloak fluttering in the wind and couldn't help but pray in their hearts. "Bald, it's up to you. Come on, Brother Lan, if you want to win, I'll go back and fight twice. Brother Lan, don't kill them all. Leave one for me and raise it for barbecue." Zhonglan remained motionless, but his powerful momentum immediately impressed everyone, and everyone looked at him with envy and jealousy. "He's so handsome and strong. As a freshman, I was trash. Don't worry about how he got his strength. He is already stronger than us now." Zhonglan received full rewards from the spiritual realm twice in a row, with a total of 3,500 potential points. Everyone thought on their toes and knew that he was now a 4th level enhancement system awakener. "My brother said that next year he will awaken the talent. I dare to swear that this talent must have the effect of making him handsome. The last time this bald man was in the 3rd spiritual realm, he was not so handsome. Ah, look, Zhonglan is about to move. He is going to kill the big boss." Everyone stared at Zhonglan with wide eyes. For a long time, Zhonglan still made no move. "Why do I feel like it's just his cloak that's moving? Amid everyone's expectant gazes, Zhang Lan did not move. Everyone's eyes turned from admiration and envy to helplessness and anger. That's almost it. There has to be a limit to showing off. We admit that you are handsome. That's it. If you don't make a move yet, what are you waiting for? Zhang Lan didn't move for a long time, not to show off, and he didn't even notice the looks of the rookies behind him. He was using his clairvoyance eyes to search for the giant ancestor giant among tens of thousands of giants, but found nothing. It seems that he was instantly killed by him with a punch yesterday, which made the giant ancestor giant realize the difference in strength between the two sides. Today, he hid in a vulgar way. But it doesn't matter. Zhang Lan smiled faintly. If he only had one way of sensing, he should be helpless at this moment. But he is the inheritor of the Turtle Immortal School. In addition to Superman's absolute clairvoyance, he also has the heaven-defying skill of breath sensing. In the world of Attack on Titan, although the giants are very large, their breath is very weak, and they are no different from ordinary people. And among the group of giants, the ancestor giant who was once an awakened one was as dazzling as a beacon in the dark night. Zhang Lan's eyes lit up and he found it. The ancestor giant turned into a disgusting insect, hiding in the stomach of an armored giant. Of course, it's also possible that he didn't have time to grow a body. Zhang Lan nodded to Ning Tong, and Ning Tong immediately understood what he meant. The azure biological force field wrapped Zhang Lan and took him flying towards the giant group. The giant ancestor giant was clearly a master of learning. This time he relied on the power of tens of thousands of giants to fight against Zhang Lan. As soon as Ning Tong flew halfway, countless rocks flew in like raindrops. Zhang Lan chuckled, trying to stop him with this little trick, which would make him look down on him. He used continuous normal attacks, and all the boulders were easily shattered by him. Zhang Lan saw that he was already some distance away from the city wall. Even if he used Guixian-style Qigong, he didn't have to worry about being discovered. So he got angry and turned into a stream of light and flew towards the armored giant where the ancestor giant was hiding. Any giant who dares to stand in front of him will be killed with one punch. With one punch, the entire upper body exploded and turned into flesh foam flying in the air. The awakened ones watched from a distance, amazed in their hearts. The super giants that required the cooperation of several of them to kill were all vulnerable to Zhang Lan. Wherever Zhang Lan passed, the super large giants were like felled trees in the forest, falling to both sides, instantly clearing a passage among the giants. Everyone couldn't help but feel a sense of powerlessness in their hearts. He's also a student, why is Zhang Lan so strong? It's like cheating. We're sorry for being human. No matter what everyone thought of Zhang Lan before, now they all recognize Zhang Lan's strength in their hearts. After all, with only the 4th level strength, he dared to attack the Earth Ming Legion alone. They had to admire this courage. But in fact, Zhang Lan is now close to the 8th level of strength. Even if the number of giants is 10 times greater, they will not be able to do anything to him. The armored giant parasitized by the ancestor giant saw that the giant army could not stop Zhang Lan at all, so he suddenly spread his long legs and began to escape. The other giants burst out at several times their speed and rushed towards the city wall. The giant ancestor giant has very sinister intentions. If Zhang Lan wants to chase him, these awakened ones will die. If you don't chase him and go back to save others, he will escape. At this moment, how should Zhang Lan choose? At this moment, the outermost city wall suddenly shook, and the city wall bricks quickly slid down. The super large giants sealed inside took a step one after another, forming a huge wall of flesh. Facing the Earth Cry core of the giant ancestor giant, Earth Cry vs Earth Cry. The earth was shaking, the air was burning, and the super giants on both sides were entangled. Zhang Lan was dumbfounded. This time it was a complete mess. It must be that Ymir couldn't stand it anymore and activated her super giant to intercept the giant army of the ancestor giant. This was good. Zhang Lan could let go of his hands and feet and kill the weird insect. He no longer retained his strength, and a powerful aura erupted from his body, and he flew in front of the fleeing armored giant in a few moments. The armored giant roared angrily and punched Zhang Lan. Zhang Lan floated in the air without even moving. He stretched out his left hand and easily grabbed the armored giant's fist. "Dare to take action against me, I admire your courage," Zhang Lan said coldly. and then he grabbed the armored giant's fist, smashed it back and forth on the ground like a sack. Get out of here. While Zhong Lan was beating the armored giant, he also turned the armored giant upside down and shook the giant's body vigorously. The armored giant's hard armor was no harder than bread in front of Zhong Lan. Soon, Zhong Lan beat him until his body was covered with bruises and he was dying. The grotesque bug always hides in its body and refuses to come out. Zhong Lan sneered, thinking that if you don't come out, there will be nothing I can do. Zhong Lan threw it to the ground, his eyes turned red, and 2 red rays of light slowly opened its abdomen, splitting the armored giant into 2 parts in an instant. A ferocious black giant insect with a human head crawled out of the giant's body. It had countless tentacles, and it raised its head and smiled ferociously. Very good, you forced me. He bit down hard on his tentacles, and suddenly huge lightning struck from the sky. Its body slowly grew larger and its muscles bulged. This is the second form of the ancestral giant. It has stronger strength and speed, comparable to the 6th level high-level awakened ones. The ancestor giant continued to grow and laughed ferociously. Suddenly he felt a lightness in his body and found himself flying up from the ground. Then he saw a fist gradually getting bigger in front of his eyes. Wait a moment, I haven't. Before he finished speaking, he was in midair and made a bang. With a sound, it completely turned into a ball of blood foam and disappeared into the night sky. Zhong Lan shook his fist in disgust. Next time he encounters such a disgusting monster, he should use turtle-style qigong to deal with it. If he wasn't afraid of revealing Superman's identity, he would definitely use a turtle-style qigong to directly blow up the monster. Zhong Lan fell back to the ground, and a tiny black larva flew out from the corpse of the weird insect in the air. It has wings and floats almost imperceptibly in the night sky. Zhong Lan and Ning Tong returned to the city wall and found that all the giants had returned to human form and were lying naked on the ground. The awakened ones also let out bursts of cheers. We won! Long live Zhong Lan, long live Ning Tong! Tang Yu and Wan Rui rushed over, crying, Brother Lan, Sister Tong, Ren Peng is dying. Zhong Lan and Ning Tong saw Zhang Xinghe kneeling on the ground. The green aura from his whole body was injected into a charred body on the ground, and he was roaring even more. Pengapong, wake up! The charred body on the ground slowly raised its head and made a hoarse sound. I just wanted to see if the female giant had that function, but I didn't expect to be slapped into a pile of super giants by her palm. Before he finished speaking, he tilted his head to one side and was about to die. Zhong Lan was also in a dilemma. He shouted loudly. Whoever has the ability to heal, please help my classmates. The girls with healing abilities among the awakeners all came over to look at it and shook their heads, expressing their inability to do anything. Zhong Lan leaned down, held Ren Peng's hand, and said in a deep voice. Pengapong, do you have any last wishes? Ren Peng made an indistinct sound, and if you listen carefully, it sounds like. Be patient, be patient. Big, be patient. Suddenly, black lines appeared on Zhong Lan's forehead. How long had it been, and he was still thinking about Nana. It was really hopeless. I don't know if God can't stand it or what. Ren Peng's charred body was originally in the shape of a Thai glyph, but suddenly a piece of flesh fell off, and the Thai glyph suddenly turned into a big glyph. It looked like there was absolutely no hope. Zhong Lan silently mourned for Ren Peng for a few seconds. It was all burnt. Let's cut it. Suddenly, a black multi-legged insect flew to Ren Peng with flapping wings and was about to get into his mouth. Ning Tong immediately used her space ability to freeze the multi-legged insect. A blue light flashed in her eyes, and the multi-legged insect's body instantly swelled. He was about to be burst alive by Ning Tong. Zhong Lan's heart moved and he said to Ning Tong, wait a moment, this may be Ren Peng's only chance to survive. Ning Tong stopped using her ability and looked at Zhong Lan. Could it be that being parasitized can heal injuries? Zhong Lan nodded. The first ancestor, Ymir, was seriously injured, fell into a tree hole, and was parasitized by grotesque bugs, so he survived by chance. However, her tongue that was cut off before could not be restored. From this point of view, Ren Peng could save his life if he let the grotesque insect parasitize it, but Kun Kun might not be able to grow it back. Ning Tong said, you can let it try to see if it can save Ren Peng's life. Even if it merges with Ren Peng, life and death are within my thoughts. Zhong Lan nodded. In this situation, he couldn't just watch Ren Peng die. He could only treat the dead horse as a living doctor. Ning Tong let go of the larva. A few minutes later, Ren Peng's skin was as smooth as new and he began to breathe again. He slowly opened his eyes and saw a few familiar faces, and couldn't help but hesitate. Brother Lan, Sister Tong, Xiao Yu, Da Cheng Dang, Lao Zhang, how come you are also dead? Say it, you may not believe it. I just saw my great-grandmother. When Tang Yu and Wan Rui told him that he was not dead, Ren Peng suddenly started touching himself in excitement. Ah, I'm really not dead, that's great. Ha ha ha, I just want to see if the female giant has that function. What's wrong with me? I knew that a naughty boy wouldn't have bad luck. But soon, his face became dull, his eyes filled with tears, and he shouted in grief and anger. Brother, where is my brother? Has any of you seen my kunkin? Huh. Tang Yu, did you eat him? Zhong Lan coughed awkwardly. It's a pity that it was completely burned just now and left on its own. Resurrection from the dead did not change Ren Peng from a large-shaped figure back to a tie-shaped figure. Good news, Ren Peng came back from the dead. Bad news, Ren Peng became Ren Peng. But that's okay, this way, classmate Ren Peng, well, classmate Ren Peng, there will be no descendants, and the giant's power will not be passed down. As the larva got into Ren Peng's belly, Zhong Lan saw the figures of Ymir and Alan slowly emerging in the sky, nodded to him, and slowly turned into starlight, completely disappearing. Awakened ones, that mechanical and indifferent voice sounded in your mind. Those who received extra rewards in this spiritual realm, Zhong Lan, Ning Tong, Spirit Realm number 5 will be permanently closed, and this additional reward will be doubled. Closing square bracket. About to return to reality. 10, 9, 8. Zhong Lan felt relieved now. He was still worried that the larva would get into Ren Peng's stomach and the spiritual realm would not be permanently closed, which would cause big trouble. Now this ending can be said to be a happy one. The spiritual realm is completely closed and there will be no more invasions of Blue Star. Ren Peng also came back from the dead because he was parasitized by the larva of the grotesque bug. Although Pengapong became Pengapong, he also completely cut off the danger of his descendants being treated as war machines. At present, it seems that Pengapong is unlikely to have any descendants. Zhong Lan couldn't help but mourn for him for a few seconds. There was nothing he could do about it. Sincerity was precious, and life was worth even more. Maybe Pengapong will find a new channel in the future, maybe. After all, Blue Star Society is now very open and tolerant. In addition to men and women, there are also people who live in the society, such as Nan Ren, Nen Ren, and Now Ren. Bless you, classmate Pengapong, you will find your own sexual happiness. Before going out, Zhong Lan said to several people present. Everyone must keep this matter of Ren Peng's resurrection a secret and must not tell anyone else. Seeing Zhong Lan's unprecedented seriousness, everyone nodded and made an oath. Blue Star, since the awakened ones entered the spiritual realm. The large hole in space above became more violent, and blood-red breath continued to overflow from the large hole towards the Blue Star. In just one day, the entire Blue Star air was covered with a thick layer of blood. The despair of most ordinary people has become even more serious, and social media is full of negative and desperate remarks. Is the end of the world coming? These terrifying giants, once they invade Blue Star, ordinary people like us will all die. Then everyone saw the scene of endless super large giant core activating the earth roar from the big hole. The ignited night sky also made humans realize how terrifying this giant is. But some middle-aged and elderly people smiled indifferently. The giant looked ferocious, but it was much worse than when the wave of ferocious beasts came. It was incomparable. And humans are not the weak race that had no power to fight back when the vicious beasts attacked. Countless powerful awakened beings have risen and have continued to ignite the fire of human civilization with their own lives. With these giants alone, they may not be able to exterminate mankind. But it is undeniable that the invasion of massive giants will definitely cause a large number of civilian deaths. Everyone is looking forward to it, waiting for the new generation of awakened human beings to create miracles and save all people from fire and water. At Sanjiang City University, President Ning has been worried for the past 2 days. He looks at the big hole in the sky every day, his eyebrows furrowed, and his weather-beaten old face is full of sorrow. Lao Wang walked to him, patted his shoulder, and comforted him. Don't worry, that kid Zhong Lan is smart and will be fine. His father was a very thieves back then. Everyone else died, but his father didn't even break his skin. Lao Ning immediately stared at him in surprise. Wu Huang, do you know Zhong Lan's father? What was his father's identity back then, and why did he interact with you? Lao Wang's heart trembled, and he quickly said haha and looked at him. Hey, look, I seem to see Zhong Lan and Ning Tong in the big cave. Lao Ning knew that he didn't want to say anything, so he didn't continue to ask. After all, the person who could force the angry emperor might not have been born yet. He knew that the angry emperor was right. Zhong Lan and Ning Tong had proven with their brilliant achievements in the previous spiritual realms that they were very strong, stronger than all the students combined. Once or twice can be explained as chance and good luck. The 4 spiritual realms have the same result, which cannot be explained by good luck. In fact, there is only one real answer, and that is that their combination is really strong. As a former 7th level master, how could Lao Ning not understand this truth, but he did not ask. He knows that everyone has their own secrets, especially geniuses. Behind every genius there is a shocking secret. He also believed that when Zhong Lan and Ning Tong wanted to tell him, they would naturally do so. He doesn't want to say it now, but the time has not come yet, and he doesn't force it. In his heart, he just hopes that Ning Tong is safe and sound. Although he knew that their strength was extraordinary, Lao Ning could not help but feel worried. After all, her daughter and Zhong Lan shoulder the heavy responsibility to solve the crisis of number 5 spiritual realm invading reality. The risks faced by the two of them were at least dozens of times higher than those of ordinary awakened people. How could they not worry Lao Ning? This time he called Zhang Anping every day. Zhang Ju, I'm Lao Ning, yes, please help me see their scores. Yes, I know, it's a bit too frequent. Thank you for your hard work. What, the 20 points haven't moved all the time? It's the second day, why haven't their scores changed? Did something unexpected happen? After hanging up the phone, Lao Ning had an ominous premonition in his heart. According to the strength of Zhong Lan and Ning Tong, there was no reason for them to always score 20 points, leaving them far behind the other teams. Could it be that something happened to them and they were trapped? Or was one of the parties seriously injured? Countless messy thoughts came to mind, adding a few more white hairs to Lao Ning's head. Fortunately, his pain did not last long. The next night, the huge cave above Blue Star began to deform and twist. The news network immediately reported the incident, and everyone went outside and looked up. Everyone knows in their hearts that if there is such a violent fluctuation, there will be results soon in the number 5 spiritual realm. Either endless giants surged out of it, or the awakeners of Blue Star created a miracle and completely resolved this crisis. Under the expectant gaze of all Blue Star humans, the big hole flashed several times, like a giant one eye, and closed completely with a snap. Where there once was a big hole, there is no longer any abnormality. The moon is as crescent as an eyebrow and the stars are shining brightly. Wisps of white clouds in the night sky block the graceful waist of the crescent moon. It's like a girl's bikini, thin, leaky and see-through, but it can block the key parts, making people hate it. The Blue Star night at this moment is so mesmerizingly beautiful. In major cities, the eagerly awaited humans were stunned for a moment, and then burst into endless cheers. The spiritual realm invasion has been resolved, great. Long live, thank you for your hard work, children. Humanity is saved. Zhong Lan was completely relieved when he saw that Renpeng was also teleported back. He was also worried that Renpeng, who was parasitized by the grotesque insect, would be left in the spiritual realm forever as the new ancestor giant. It now appears that the grotesque insect larvae are not recognized by the spiritual realm and cannot exist as a key item that supports the world. Also, for such a small grotesque insect, it should take many years to grow up and mature. In this way, Pengapong does not have to worry about his lifespan being shortened. Zhong Lan pushed Renpeng. Hey, do you feel anything special? Renpeng's eyes were dull and he muttered to himself. Where did Kunken go? My Kunken, as a man, losing your brother is more painful than killing him. Zhong Lan sighed, but it doesn't matter, just live. Based on his understanding of the spiritual realm, there are actually many ways to help Pengapong become Pengapong again. Chapter 131. Before Lao Ning could step forward to greet his classmates, he received a call from Zhang Anping. Principal Ning, congratulations. Zhang Lan and Ning Tong are on top again, with over 10 million points, far ahead. It's strange to say that their scores started at 20 points, motionless, and then started to rise like crazy. I started to doubt that there must be something wrong with the crappy stuff of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Lao Ning looked at Zhang Lan and Ning Tong with a calm look on his face. He could only sigh and said to Zhang Anping, "Zhang Ju, they are back safely. They really are, I won't give up until they die in a hurry, hey." As several people teleported back to campus, everyone except Renpeng was intact and obtained a lot of potential points. Zhang Lan and Ning Tong even obtained the maximum potential point of the number 5 spiritual realm, 500 points. Zhang Lan thought that he would not enter the spiritual realm again in the near future, so he evenly distributed 500 potential points among various attributes, and finally his attributes became Physique, 1860 plus 2190. Spirit, 1860. Strength, 1860 plus 2190. Agility, 1860 plus 2190. Potential points, 2. Talent 1. Saitama's talent. Talent 2. Superhuman talent. Talent 3. Saiyan talent. Talent skill 1. Clairvoyance. Talent skill 2. Thermal vision. Talent skill 3. Body of steel. Talent skill 4. Turtle style qigong. Key to the world. Dragon Ball world. Zhang Lan is very close to breaking through 2004 attributes. Next time he enters the spiritual realm, his total real attributes should be close to the 10,000 mark. Spirit realm number 5 has since become history. Later students can only admire the number 1 and number 5 spiritual realms in their textbooks. In this way, there are 98 spiritual realms left in Blue Star. Someone even gave Zhang Lan and Ning Tong a nickname in private, Spiritual Realm Destroyer. Zhang Lan and the others returned late at night. With the return of the awakened ones, what happened in the number 5 spiritual realm was completely known to the public. This time, almost no one criticized Zhang Lan. They all praised Zhang Lan for being handsome, strong, powerful and invincible. Indeed, Zhang Lan's performance this time was impeccable. He was so huge that the final boss, which occupied the entire island, was instantly killed by him with one punch. Then he and Ning Tong fought alone into a crowd of hundreds of thousands of giants, completely defeating the final boss. He even single-handedly saved Blue Star and completely shut down the number 5 spiritual realm. It is unprecedented for someone to have this kind of strength as a freshman. Ever since there were awakened people in Blue Star, I had never heard of anyone who could hit the spiritual realm one after another until it was permanently closed. As public opinion fermented, although it was still late at night, social media was already completely abuzz. Superman, who had just been in the limelight a few days ago, quickly declined in popularity. Zhang Lan and Ning Tong regained the top 10 hot news items. Big news, Zhang Lan and Ning Tong are so strong that they team up to defeat the world boss. Closing square bracket. We are witnessing history, 2 new stars are rising in the future. Closing square bracket. The strong men who reach the 4th level in their freshman year are destined to rewrite history. Closing square bracket. Yu Huang and Su Huang were not this strong during their freshman year. It is unimaginable how far they will go in the future. Closing square bracket. Zhang Lan's success makes us realize that being handsome is really a talent. Closing square bracket. We hereby call for Zhang Lan's talent to be regraded again. Such a powerful talent is definitely more than B level. Closing square bracket. Different from the previous times, the comment area below was also full of praise. After all, the strong are always respected. The faces of these people changed so quickly that they seemed to have forgotten how they mocked Zhang Lan just a few months ago, mocking Zhang Lan for turning into a bald man. Zhang Lan's apparent strength alone was enough to shut them all up. Many websites have even begun to delete news about Zhang Lan's dark history that year, fearing that Zhang Lan would become more powerful and settle the score in the future. Zhang Lan, I love you and I want to give you a baby. You are not allowed to compete with me. I started to like my boyfriend when I was still in high school. I have saved every episode of his workout videos on my phone. Upstairs, I'll pay you 500 to buy your video. Who are you looking down on? You just want my boyfriend's video for 500. Just take a piss and look in the mirror. 1000, if not, I'll find someone else. Deal, add 200 more, and come with a collection of Superman videos. Quote. Goddess Ningtong, I can also become bald. Wait for me. Next year I will awaken my talent of. I will be more handsome and more lovable than Zhong Lan. Upstairs, you are behind the times. I have shaved my head a long time ago and guard the gate of Sanjiang University every day, just so that Goddess Ningtong can take one more look at me. It's too powerful. I suggest that their combined talents be regraded to S1 level combined talents. They are talented and handsome. Ah, Sanjiang City University has completely risen. It is said that their president is a former 7th level powerhouse. What, really? Why is Zhong Lan so lucky to just join a private university? The principal is a 7th level expert, his partner is the strongest assistant, and she is a fair-skinned, beautiful girl with long legs. Quote. I believe now that the talent of really has the effect of increasing luck. Zhong Lan's life can be called a life of cheating. From a loser, she counterattacked and became the strongest master in her freshman year. Because of this, the comment section was filled with praise. This is because Zhong Lan's exposed strength is now firmly a 4th level awakened person. After all, every time the spiritual realm rewards potential points, all awakened people will be notified. Zhong Lan wanted to hide it, but couldn't. The total potential points awarded by the 5 spiritual realms totaled more than 4,000 points. Even if Zhong Lan's natural talent grows slowly, at least one of his attributes will exceed the 1,000 point mark. As long as he keeps conquering every spiritual realm like this, he will sooner or later reach the 5th level or even higher before graduating from college. As the saying goes, if you don't have enough talent, you have to use your potential. And this time, he and Ningtong saved all mankind. No matter how much they are praised, it cannot be overstated. The most powerful freshman in history, the one who destroyed the spiritual realm, the most handsome college student, and the best abs in China. Before he knew it, Zhong Lan had an absurd number of names. No one dares to mention the title of Sanjiang City's pretty boy, Sanjiang City's loser, and the most useless awakened person in the past. In the whole world, including senior students, there are not many people who can reach the 4th level before graduation. Yu Ling only reached the 4th level in her junior year. Later, she had many adventures and became one of the 3 emperors. For Zhong Lan and Ningtong, the spiritual realm was just a place to purchase goods, earn potential points, and bring some specialties from the spiritual realm. Everyone else is basically living an ignoble existence, and there are very few potential points that can be obtained from the spiritual realm. It's good to be able to survive, and they don't need a bicycle. Seeing 2 new human stars rising, the whole world is excited. Field reporters from Sanjiang City and Shanghai were sleeping soundly with their wives in their arms, or being hugged by others, in the middle of the night when they were woken up by a phone call from their leaders. Sleep with your sister. Get up quickly and go to Sanjiang University. I want first-hand news. Tomorrow morning, I want the front page headlines, full of news about Zhong Lan and Ningtong. No. 4 spiritual realm has no interview, the 2 of them will make up for it together this time. At around 3 o'clock in the morning, Xiao Li, who succeeded his biological father, Lao Wang, as a security guard in the security room of Sanjiang University, was awakened by a burst of noise. He peeked out from under the warm quilt and saw pairs of green eyes outside the bars of the big iron door, staring straight at him, which made him yelp in fright. Ghost, ghost. Early the next morning, Zhong Lan and Ningtong were caught by Lao Ning and taken to school. The reporters had been waiting in the auditorium all night for them to come and hold the number 5 spiritual realm press conference. Not surprisingly, Zhong Lan himself serves as the external spokesperson of Sanjiang University. After all, Ningtong has not yet reached the level of a master like him, who tells lies with his eyes open, his face does not change, and his heart does not beat. Once expressions are not managed well, it is easy for reporters, who are good at observing words and expressions, to spot flaws. Zhong Lan also changed into a dark blue ketone suit. After Ningtong lived near him, He basically took over all of Zhong Lan's food, clothing, housing and transportation. Zhong Lan's wife was also happy to relax. The well-tailored custom-made suit, coupled with his handsome face, chic figure, and the invincible aura he has developed, make him even more heroic. As soon as Zhong Lan stepped into the auditorium, flashlights and the sound of taking pictures could not be heard. Although many reporters are used to seeing handsome men and beautiful women, they can't help but want to scream at this moment. So handsome. Why, he can be so handsome. Even if he is not an awakened person, he can become a popular star by making movies. As a man, I think he is indeed ridiculously handsome. Zhong Lan stood behind the podium and smiled. Out of habit, he originally wanted to name the female reporter with the twin tails. But suddenly I discovered that the female reporters in the audience all seemed to have twin tails, and they all looked like Matryoshka dolls, and they all looked somewhat similar. The female reporters couldn't help feeling secretly proud when they saw Zhong Lan's slightly stunned expression. Humph, I know you like twin ponytails and youthful girly makeup. How about we all grow twin ponytails? It's really going to be an eyesore. The original young female reporter with twin ponytails was in a state of collapse. There were 7 or 8 female reporters wearing the same clothes as her. Not to mention, many female reporters looked more like her after putting on makeup. When she suddenly looked at each other, she always felt that she was seeing her twin sister. Zhong Lan took a look around and found that almost all the female reporters had the same face. Women's makeup skills can be called the most powerful illusion skills in the 21st century. Many identical faces were flashing in front of his eyes, and the dazzling light from the swaying headlights of various cars made him feel dizzy. In desperation, he had no choice but to randomly pick a female reporter in black stockings who was closer to him. The female reporter Yuji was obviously a little excited. Her face was flushed, her majestic headlights were raised, her voice was trembling, and she asked the topic that everyone was most concerned about. I would like to ask Zhong Lan, why is the number 5 spiritual realm a crisis of invading reality, and how did you resolve this crisis? Zhong Lan's face became solemn. He leaned down, approached the microphone and said in a deep voice. Sorry, no comment. He reported the crisis in the number 5 spiritual realm to Zhong Anping after he and Ning Tong came out last night. Generally speaking, the root cause of the abnormality in the number 5 spiritual realm is that the greed and ignorance of the awakened person seizes the basic objects for the continuation of the spiritual realm, which in turn causes the spiritual realm to be unable to operate normally. If this news is revealed to the public, more awakened people with ulterior motives will try to destroy the spiritual realm, eventually leading to the complete collapse of the entire spiritual realm system. After Zhong Anping heard the news, he urgently summoned several core experts. After a meeting and communication, it was unanimously agreed that the news could not be disclosed to the public. So today Zhong Lan can confidently say, no comment. The reporters in the audience were immediately in an uproar. What, is he drifting off? He actually said he had no comment. That's too much. Let's reveal some information. Zhong Lan continued to explain. The abnormal cause of the number 5 spiritual realm has been reported to the Spiritual Realm Administration Bureau. The administration has classified the relevant information as top secret, so I'm sorry, I can only keep it secret for the time being. Reporter, please change the question. The female reporter calmed down and continued to ask questions. Classmate Zhong Lan, has your strength reached the 4th level now? Which direction is the biological force field you awakened from? Awakened ones with a single true attribute exceeding 1,000 will activate the biological force field. However, each awakened person can only activate one kind of biological force field. Whichever true attribute exceeds 1,000 first will be activated. For example, if your physique exceeds 1,000, a shield will be automatically generated on the body surface. With over 1,000 spirits, one can fly in the air. If the power exceeds 1,000, it can produce fist wind and dark energy. The agility exceeds 1,000 and can create phantoms. Zhong Lan is rather strange. All 4 of his attributes are close to 2,000, but he doesn't have any of the biological force fields that should appear in awakened ones. In fact, he doesn't need it at all. His body combines the powerful defensive attributes of Saitama and Superman. It is not an exaggeration to call it steel and iron bones. For flying, he relies on the Wukong technique in the Dragon Ball world. He can fly freely, and can also perform various difficult actions such as acceleration, emergency stop, and teleportation in the air. He is more flexible and faster than the flight of the awakened. However, the cost is to consume one's own breath, but the awakened person also consumes mental energy to fly, so there is not much difference. The punching wind and dark energy generated by the strength of over 1,000 are even more useless to him. Teacher Saitama's normal attacks and serious punches are only 1/1,000,000th of the power he can use so far, and Blue Star is basically unstoppable. Teleporting was even more unnecessary for him. His speed was already so fast that afterimages were instantly produced. It has already exceeded the limit of what human vision can capture. With the blessing of the 3 major talents, he didn't need to take the same path as ordinary awakened people. He had already blazed his own path. But now, from the looks of things, he didn't activate any bio-force fields. Zhong Lan could only tell the truth. I did not activate any biological force fields. Coax. The audience suddenly erupted into waves of noise. Everyone raised their heads and looked at Zhong Lan in disbelief. How come? He has gained more than 4,000 potential points, but he has not awakened the biological force field. Isn't that useless? That's right. Give it to anyone with 4,000 potential points, and they should be able to fly by now, except for those who have awakened in the strengthening system, of course. The awakened ones of the enhanced type cannot fly even if they add spirit because their physical body is too strong. This is the consensus in the awakened world. Basically, there will be no enhanced spiritual attributes for awakened people. As strong as Wang Zongshu and Su Hao, if they want to fly, they have to be carried by Yu Ling. Zhong Lan sneered inwardly. How could the world know the magic of my talent? The 4 attributes go hand in hand, which is my path. In another year, Blue Star will be invincible. These things cannot be explained clearly to laymen-like reporters, and there is no need to explain too much. Another male reporter asked. Then Zhong Lan, if you didn't awaken any biological force fields, how did you achieve such brilliant achievements in the number 4 and number 5 spiritual realms? Zhong Lan said with a smile. In the 4th spiritual realm, I was temporarily blessed by the gods of that world and inspired the dragon form. I am at least 50 times more powerful than I am now. The ultimate boss of spiritual realm number 5 seems to be powerful, but in fact it is only at the 4th level. It is useless. The giants have a fatal weakness. As long as his neck is destroyed, they will die immediately. I am with the flying ability provided by Ning Tong, we can kill it with one strike. Anyway, spiritual realm number 5 has been completely closed. Even if he says that the final boss is just a moth, reporters will have no choice but to believe him. This is called death without evidence. Moreover, the reporters also heard about the giant's weakness from other awakened people. It was Zhong Lan who discovered this weakness of the giants, and they were able to survive, and everyone received a lot of potential point rewards. Everyone whispered to each other. If you want to put it that way, he is still lucky. The number 4 spirit realm was inexplicably favored by the gods and strengthened 50 times. The number 5 spirit realm suddenly discovered the giant's fatal weakness. Isn't it just luck? It seems true. How powerful can he be without even activating the biological force field? You're handsome, but you can do whatever you want. Zhong Lan chuckled. As for the biological force field, it doesn't matter to me whether it is activated or not. The real strength comes from my persistence in exercising day after day and my belief in pursuing victory. If Zhong Lan said this before, he would inevitably be ridiculed. You, AD level waste, dare to say that biological force field, a skill that can only be possessed by 4th level experts, is insignificant. But now that Zhong Lan said these words, the reporters in the audience began to think deeply. After all, with the glorious record here, no one can open their eyes and insist that Zhong Lan is not strong. Apart from Ning Tong, Zhong Lan was the only person in the world who could reach the 4th level of awakening in his freshman year. Is it possible that the biological standpoint is really a fancy thing, flashy and unrealistic? Isn't that right? Is it possible that the D-level talent just cannot activate the biological force field? Someone suddenly proposed this guess, and everyone suddenly realized, hey, yes. Previously, no D-level talent awakener could reach the 4th level. So everyone takes it for granted that as long as you become an awakened person and have a single attribute of over 1,000, you will definitely activate the biological force field. Is it true that D-level talents are inherently defective and cannot activate biological stance? Everyone suddenly realized this, and looked at Zhong Lan with a hint of pity and pity. He is a D-level talent awakener. He relied on luck and handsomeness to become a 4th-level awakener. As a result, I never thought that if the talent was still flawed and could not activate the biological stance, wouldn't that mean it was useless? Zhong Lan understood what they were thinking, and he didn't bother to explain too much. The number 5 spiritual realm was just the beginning. In the future, he would continue to use his strength to shut them up completely. Those who misunderstand his talent today will surely be shocked in the future. People in the world are always blinded by their own thoughts and cannot see the truth clearly. After answering the reporter's questions, Zhong Lan's eyes were deep, and he slowly made up his mind that today was the time to speak out what was on his mind. He is willing to attend today's press conference because he has an important matter that he has been putting up with for a long time. Before, he was a quiet man, and even if he spoke, no one would pay attention to him. But now, it is different. He has saved Blue Star and has a huge reputation. It is time to challenge the injustice of awakening. Zhong Lan took a deep breath, looked around with bright eyes. Everyone, instead of worrying about my talent, you should think about it carefully. Why can my talent be awakened at D level with only 10 talent points, but at B level, it takes 100 talent points to awaken? For the same talent, why are the talent points 10 times different? Zhong Lan's words were like pouring cold water into a frying pan. The whole auditorium was in a state of excitement. In fact, some people have questioned the awakening talent points before, but it did not cause any turmoil in society. At this moment, Zhong Lan, as the new savior of mankind, said these words, which was tantamount to challenging the authority of the Awakening Bureau and slapping the Awakening Bureau in the face. Yes, why does the same talent cost only 10 talent points at D level, but 100 talent points at B level? Zhong Lan said in a deep voice. When I awakened back then, due to talent point restrictions, I could only awaken 1 D level talent. I would like to ask the Awakening Bureau, is the existence of talent points really reasonable? What is talent? It refers to the ability that a person is born with and is given by nature. It is obtained by taking talent pills the day after tomorrow. Can it be called talent? He even dropped shocking news. By chance, I learned that the first generation of awakened people do not need talent points and can freely choose talents. There are no levels of talent. Zhong Lan's voice was soft, but it rang in the reporter's ears like a bell. I want to ask the Awakening Bureau. Everyone is equal before talent. What are your intentions in artificially adding shackles to it? Coax. The entire auditorium exploded, and all the reporters stared with disbelief. What did we hear? The first batch of naturally awakened people can awaken without talent points. What does this mean? Does it mean that talent awakening does not require talent points? In fact, everyone can naturally awaken their talents. This was the big news of the century, and everyone rushed to Zhong Lan like crazy. Classmate Zhong Lan, where did you get this news? Classmate Zhong Lan, what level do you think your talent should be? Zhong Lan shook his head and stopped answering any questions. He pushed aside the reporters and left the auditorium. In fact, he had this question since he first awakened, but at that time, he was too weak and could easily get into accidents. So he could only choose to endure it. Until today, he successfully saved Blue Star and became a hero respected by thousands of people. He was able to bring this issue to the public only if he had the tyrannical strength to protect himself. He believed that many people must have had the same question before. This issue has never been understood by the public, and no one even mentioned it in society. These people who raised questions must have been resolved. If you can't solve the problem, just solve the person who raised the problem. This is a quick step. Now, even if he is not the strongest in Blue Star, he is still ranked in the top 10. Anyone who dares to come to make trouble, and he has 3 top inheritances, can fight head-on. Anyone who wants to touch him must carefully consider whether he has such strong teeth. Lao Ning and Lao Wang stood outside the auditorium, witnessing all this. Their expressions were complicated and shocked. Lao Ning asked Nu Huang, "Why don't you stop him? If such words get out, it will definitely cause an uproar. I'm afraid his road will be even more difficult next. The angry emperor's face covered with green stubble twitched a few times, and he chuckled. In Zhonglan, I see the future of mankind. I am old, but he has just started, and with this courage, his future will never stop here. A sharp light flashed in Lao Wang's eyes and he said coldly. With me here, whoever dares to touch him must first weigh it carefully. His head can't help but be punched by me. Lao Ning shook his head and said helplessly. I thought I found a sheep to keep my daughter company, but I didn't expect that my daughter is the sheep. Nu Huang, what kind of talent does Zhonglan have? I feel more and more that something is wrong with him. Wang Zongshu laughed. From the way he exercises every day, we can see that his talent is still the same, but he should have obtained all the origins. In other words, he is likely to be the only inheritor of the legend. As the first generation of naturally awakened people and the oldest of the three emperors, the Furious Emperor, he knows many secrets that cannot be told to outsiders. Lao Ning opened his mouth wide and couldn't speak for a long time. He had heard about the Soul Inheritor, but he didn't know what abilities the Soul Inheritor had. The only inheritor. It seems that apart from being handsome and lucky, there is nothing special about him. Lao Wang smiled and shook his head. I don't know what abilities the only inheritor has. Let him develop on his own. We, the older generation, will do our best to support the children. The future is in their hands. After Zhonglan held the press conference, she refused to waste a moment and immediately started exercising. Strangely enough, after coming out of the number 5 spiritual realm, he vaguely felt something was different about himself. Sure enough, after completing Saitama's exercise method, he found that the number of real attribute points increased every day, reaching 12 points. In other words, exercising 3 attributes at one time will increase 4 attribute points. And Superman's talent has also been improved again, reaching 10 points per day. In this way, Zhonglan's attribute point income reached 22 points every day, and he had at least 660 attribute points in a month. Upgrading speed soars again. Zhonglan analyzed that it might be his action of saving the world of Attack on Titan, and fighting the giant monster, the Ancestor Titan. It was further recognized by teacher Saitama and Da Chao, and it fit the spirit of the two heroes, so the speed of improvement of the two talents increased again. But that's fine. The appearance of the dragon-level ferocious beast last time made Zhonglan wary. Dragon-level ferocious beasts are so powerful that they can fight against the Qigong wave with all his strength without falling behind. If, as Nicolas Cage predicted, a god-level beast would come to Blue Star 3 years later, with his current strength, he might not be a match. What's more, there is a terrifying universe emperor like Frieza in spiritual realm number 36. Once the number 36 spirit realm invades reality, there will be no way to wait until the god-level beast comes to Blue Star. Frieza hit a Qigong wave, and Blue Star was gone. Zhonglan suddenly thought that he didn't know how the angry Emperor Yuling was talking about was doing now. He must have been completely cold. It's not that he doesn't want to help, it's just that he can't beat him. His current attributes, even with temporary additional attributes, are only 16,000 real attributes, so he can't beat him at all. Frieza doesn't even need to transform. In his first form, he can be killed in one move. Zhonglan estimated that if he really wanted to compete with Frieza, all 4 attributes must exceed 20,000, and then he could activate his Saiyan talents during the battle and transform into a Super Earthling, increasing his combat power by 50 times. Only in this way can there be a slight chance of defeating Frieza. If that angry emperor really entered the number 36 spiritual realm to fight for a chance of survival, his ashes should have been raised by now. Rest in peace, angry emperor. Let's observe 3 seconds of silence for you. Lao Wang was drinking a small drink when he suddenly felt his nose itching and couldn't help but sneeze a few times. He rubbed his nose and cursed. I'm going to die, will my physical fitness also decline? It turns out that I am a strong man who can sleep with 2 snow girls in his arms in the ice and snow. After the press conference, most of the media began to praise Zhonglan crazily. The most powerful freshman group in history, the future star of mankind with both luck and strength. Closing square bracket. A young man's counterattack, talent and background cannot limit his achievements. Closing square bracket. Sanjong University's advanced educational concepts are worthy of promotion across the country. President Ning Zhengxin has set a precedent for the education sector. Closing square bracket. Of course, some continued to mock Zhong Lan. The bald pretty boy, although he became a fourth-level awakener by relying on the potential points obtained by hugging his thighs, he did not awaken any biological force field. Closing square bracket. According to the latest news we have received, it is very likely that D-level talents cannot awaken any biological force fields. I advise everyone to be cautious when choosing the talent. I became bald and also became stronger. Zhong Lan is a lesson learned from your experience. Closing square bracket. Only a few media outlets dared to write down Zhong Lan's exact words criticizing talent points, word for word, which immediately caused a major repercussion in society. Talent is the ability given to humans by God. The first generation of awakened people all awakened naturally. There is so much shady behind this. Closing square bracket. Comments on the news were filled with outrage. Talents are abilities given to humans by God. Why can they be increased by relying on talent pills? How did the first batch of awakened people awaken? We strongly demand that the truth be made public. Garbage Awakening Bureau, return our hard-earned money. For the same talent, why do the required talent points increase tenfold just because the level has changed? We strongly request the Awakening Bureau to give an explanation to the public. Zhong Lan saw this news and was able to publish it. It was immediately clear that it was Emperor Yu and Emperor Su who gave the instructions behind the scenes. Zhong Lan nodded secretly. It seemed that there was still a glimmer of hope for mankind. Zhong Lan was calm, waiting for the situation to ferment. He wanted to see who made the decision to turn the awakening of all mankind into a business and make a lot of people's hard-earned money from it. In the lobby of a luxurious villa in the magical city, there were several luxuriously dressed and pampered men sitting. They looked worried, and one of them, a fat old man, slapped the table and roared. How dare he openly provoke the Awakening Bureau? I suggest that he be arrested immediately for rumors. Another white-haired old man shook his head. This boy is protected by the three emperors, especially the Wrath Emperor. I even doubt whether he is the Wrath Emperor's illegitimate son. I'm afraid we can't touch him on the surface. Another man with a black beard and a white face said coldly. Then find someone to kill him. If the white one doesn't work, let's find the black one. At the bottom, a man with a thin face sneered. Kill him, you are so loud. The wrathful emperor has spoken out. Whoever dares to touch this kid will be killed. The fat old man pounded the table. It's not okay to do this, it's not okay to do that, just watch him completely mess up the awakening business. The thin-faced man sneered. Does it have to be a dark road? After making so much money for so many years, it's time to make changes. The man with black beard and white face sighed. You also know the real situation. Without the talent pill, many people are not even qualified to awaken. The original intention was to cultivate a large number of awakened people. Everyone agreed on this at the beginning. Why is it now blamed on us? Quote, what's more, I always feel that it is not safe for that thing to be snatched away by God's punishment. Calculating the time, Gabriel should have almost reached the level of the Wrath Emperor. Once he dies and the thing escapes, who will be spared by then? Quote, hearing what he said, Jingyi in the room felt terrible, and the man who had been thin for a long time sneered. It's not much better, and the talent pill is not a good thing either. The man with black beard and white face said lazily on the large chair. The world should have collapsed 20 years ago. We have maintained it until now. It is enough. Let him come when he comes. Besides, the talent stones are all in our hands. What can they do? Steal them? Forget it, the business belongs to everyone. Let's vote with a show of hands. If you agree to let go of the talent awakening ceremony, raise your hands. For a long time, no one raised their hands. The man with the black beard and the white face laughed, his face full of sarcasm. I knew this would be the result. In this case, don't blame him first, and then get rid of him if you dare to talk nonsense. Anyone who blocks our financial path will die. Someone hesitated. What should I do with the angry emperor? The man with black beard and white face laughed. The wrathful emperor is just an old guy who is about to die. Don't worry, Someone will deal with him when the time comes. Ignore him for now. Let's take a look at the situation. If it doesn't work, we still have that thing. As long as we use its power, the 3 emperors will be nothing more than ants." The thin man sneered. "Be careful." Before the old man died, he repeatedly warned that that thing should not be used until the end of human life. The man with black beard and white face sneered. "Destroying people's wealth is like killing their parents. If you don't use it now, you will use it later. Brother, you are too weak. The wealth we have accumulated over the years can buy the entire country of China. Who dares to stand in front of us? All that awaits him is death." When several people in the room heard this, they burst into laughter. The sound spread further and further, reaching into the clouds. The sky above Sanjiang City University was covered with dark clouds, and thick lightning flashes were like greedy pythons, spitting out snake letters, hovering among them, and sometimes revealing their ferocious looks for a moment. There are constant low and muffled thunders in the sky, and a violent storm is coming. ... Zhong Lan's words caused a major disturbance in society, and the Awakening Bureau also responded with a message. Talent pills can help more humans who are not eligible for awakening to complete their awakening. The current method of awakening is safe and reliable. It is the best solution that has been tested by countless ancestors. If you don't want to buy talent pills, you can try natural awakening. Closing square bracket. The Awakening Bureau is extremely shameless. They say that everyone can try to awaken naturally without buying talent pills. But as we all know, talent stones, an important strategic resource, are firmly controlled by the Awakening Bureau. Occasionally, there are 1 or 2 awakening stones that are spread out and are collected by major forces and aristocratic families. Where can the general public go to naturally awaken? The comments below were filled with angry comments. Then don't monopolize all talent stones. The talent stone is a gift from God to mankind. Why should you take it for yourself? While controlling all the talent stones, let everyone try to awaken naturally. How shameless. We strongly demand that talent stones be provided to the public as a free resource and unreasonable things like talent pills be cancelled. The Awakening Bureau stopped making any response and showed an arrogant face. The subtext is that we have a monopoly on talent stones, and we have to spend money to use them. What can you do to me? Come and grab them if you have the ability. When Zhong Lan saw the attitude of the Awakening Bureau, a hint of coldness flashed in his eyes. Very good, I've given you a chance. If you don't cherish it, then don't blame me for being rude in the future. It will be at least half a year before the mass awakening of students next year. By then, he will not mind executing justice as a Superman and restoring peace to the world. Even if the Awakening Bureau says that many people are not even qualified to awaken if they don't take the talent pills, this is true. He also firmly believes that the talent stone must have its own set of screening mechanisms. If people without qualifications are artificially allowed to become awakened, the final result will only harm others and themselves. The rich can accumulate a large number of awakening points through talent pills and directly occupy the awakening resources of common people. Where is the justice and fairness? Talent is a gift given to mankind by God. Why is it completely monopolized by some people? When he strikes out, all those involved in this matter will pay the price they deserve. But now, he has no time to pay attention to these scum. Because he has more urgent things to deal with. Just now, Yu Ling, Su Hao, and Zhang Anping visited Sanjiang University again, and they had a secret chat in Lao Ning's office for a while. Lao Ning called him and Ning Tong in. As soon as Zhong Lan entered the room, he felt that the atmosphere was terrifyingly oppressive. He thought it was his remarks that caused the 3 of them to be put under pressure from the top. He said with a smile, "What's wrong? You're all so serious. I'm responsible for what I do. Or are you going to arrest me and put me in trouble?" Yu Ling's delicate eyebrows were almost knitted together as she said in a deep voice. "It's not the things you said about talent points. Although there is a little trouble with us and Uncle Wang here, they don't dare to do anything to you. This time, there are other things coming to you." Ning Tong couldn't help but wonder. What's the matter that you can't do, so you still need to ask us for help? Zhang Anping said, "Old rules, Ning Tong, you first deploy your space capabilities. The next few things are currently top secret around the world." Ning Tong nodded and slowly opened the hidden space. As the blue water ripple spread, everyone was in an independent space. Zhang Anping opened the computer he carried with him and said, "What I'm going to play next is top secret. Please don't reveal it to everyone present." As the video began to play, a huge hill-like monster was seen, resembling a lizard that walked upright, with sharp thorns standing up on its back, and its pupils were filled with bloodthirsty and indifference. It slowly walked ashore from the sea, and the ground continued to tremble. The surface of its body emitted huge amounts of heat, causing water vapor to evaporate. Then, a large dark cloud quickly formed above its head, with lightning raging in it. Coupled with the monster's huge body, it looks like the end of the world is coming. Zhang Anping explained. Dragon-level ferocious beast number 001 has super defensive capabilities and the ability to spit rays. It has also used huge electrostatic field capabilities before. This is the scene of his attack on the Indian Ocean island country Skaran yesterday. This huge monster opened its huge mouth lined with fangs and began to spray thick blue rays. Wherever the rays hit, explosions and flames burst into the sky. Yu Ling said lightly. According to the spectral analysis results, its ray temperature reaches 100,000 degrees Celsius. As the video continued, the monster continued to kill the crowd. Scarlan's Awakeners went to snipe. Their attacks bombarded the monster's rough and hard skin, unable to even injure the monster. The monster was a little angry at being harassed by the awakened ones. The surface of his body emitted blue light, and then a blue electric field erupted. The awakened ones flying in the air were like flies, their whole bodies were charred black, and they were emitting white smoke, and they fell to the ground one after another. All died on the spot. The monster gradually walked out of the camera range. Soon, an overwhelming red flame swept across the sky, and the scene completely turned into darkness. Zhang Anping looked solemn and said slowly, "Yesterday, under the attack of dragon-level ferocious beast number 001, Skaran's entire country was wiped out." Zhang Lan watched the video and opened his mouth in surprise, not because Skaran was extinct, but because he knew this monster. The monster in the video is none other than Godzilla, and judging from the map cannon skill at the end, it should have evolved into Red Lotus Godzilla. Although he has not yet transformed into the form of Planet Godzilla, he is still at a very powerful stage. Zhang Lan suddenly became confused. Could it be that the ferocious beast space was not the Pacific Rim, but the Monsterverse? If you put it this way, it makes sense. Pacific Rim and Godzilla are both part of the monster universe. Ning Tong couldn't help but widen her beautiful eyes and said in surprise. Didn't Skaran deploy a beast dispersing force field? Why did the dragon-level beast number 001 suddenly land from the sea and attack Skaran? The ranking of ferocious beasts is divided according to strength. Mr. Zhe, so far, is the well-deserved number 1. No other ferocious beast can shake its status for the time being. She then remembered something and said in shock. Could it be that those beasts from the God's Punishment Organization took action again? They destroyed Skaran's beast dispersing force field. Yu Ling slowly shook her head and said in a low voice. If that were the case, we wouldn't be so nervous. According to the investigators who rushed to the scene afterwards, they found that the beast's dispersing force field was intact from beginning to end, and the attack of the beast number 001 contained a large amount of radiation. Scarlan will be in danger in the future. It will no longer be suitable for human survival for 100 years. Ning Tong immediately opened her mouth like Zhang Lan. She realized the seriousness of the problem. That is to say, Zhang Anping nodded and took over the topic. That is to say, it is very possible that the beast number 001 has the ability to ignore the beast's ability to dispel the force field. Although it is still unclear whether only number 001 has mastered this ability, or whether all dragon-level ferocious beasts have this ability, we must prepare for the worst when the dispersing force field fails. Zhang Lan listened for a long time and couldn't help but ask. Even so, it's useless to come to me and Ning Tong. After all, we are only at the 4th level. When he said that he was only at the 4th level, he couldn't help but feel guilty. After all, his true combat power should be close to the 8th level now, and with the blessing of various powerful talents, he can briefly burst into strength beyond the 8th level. Fortunately, he had mastered the Kame Senryu's aura condensation method, otherwise he would probably be seen through by Yu Ling as soon as he met him. Zhang Anping continued. Let me finish. After the ferocious beasts invaded Blue Star, 5 years ago, humans organized a team composed of hundreds of the most powerful awakened people at the time. They entered the ferocious beast space to find a complete solution. The solution to the crisis when ferocious beasts invade. This matter is not a secret among the top leaders of various countries. The operation is named Hope for Tomorrow. Zhang Anping paused, a light flashed in his eyes, and there was a hint of sadness in his voice. But it is a pity that humans failed. In the end, only a few dozen people escaped back to Blue Star by luck, but they did not gain nothing. They brought back 2 huge mechas from the ferocious beast space. One of them was snatched away by the Divine Punishment Organization, and the other was silent in the underground research institute of the Chinese Academy of Sciences. In recent days, it suddenly regained its ability to move. According to our assessment, this mecha has at least reached the top level of the 8th level. Zhang Lan's mind was a little confused. Godzilla, mecha. These two seem to be incompatible. What kind of world is the beast space? Godzilla and giant mechas appear at the same time. Zhang Lan asked Zhang Anping. Zhang Ju, do you have any information on the mecha? Let me see. Zhang Anping nodded and said, you will also become the pillars of China in the future. It would be better if you know the technological level of the beast space earlier. Their technological level is beyond our imagination. The Chinese Academy of Sciences has repaired most of the damage to the mecha. Now it can be easily moved. Let me show you. Look, the power of the repaired mecha. After speaking, Zhang Anping played another video. On the screen is a nearly 100-meter tall red-blue mecha with a slender figure and a strong and powerful appearance. It waved its arms gently, and the defenses in front of it fell apart like paper. Then the blue mecha's single white eye turned red. It opened its mouth and sprayed out a black-red beam. This beam of light is not very similar to the ray of dragon-level ferocious beast that invaded Sanjiang City that day. It can be said to be exactly the same. The objects that the rays come into contact with are immediately vaporized into molecules. Next is the test of the mecha's defense capabilities. Dozens of tanks and aircraft opened fire on the mecha. A black-red diamond shape appeared on the surface of the mecha's body, blocking all attacks while leaving its main body unscathed. Zhang Anping finished playing the video and looked at Zhang Lan and Ning Tong. When he saw Zhang Lan, his eyes widened and his mouth opened wide. Then he nodded with satisfaction, feeling very satisfied inside. Boy, you two know how to be afraid. How did he know that the reason for Zhang Lan's expression was that this mecha was clearly the one in Eva? The breath attack method and the AT field on the body are all unique abilities in the Eva world. Moreover, although the style of this mecha has undergone some modifications, as a senior Eva fan, Zhang Lan immediately recognized it. This was clearly Eva's exclusive biological body. The mechas in the Eva world are actually transformed from the Apostle's body internally. They are not man-made weapons, but biological weapons. The outer steel is not so much a mecha as a restrainer, a device that limits the Apostle's ability to go berserk. The Eva world is a world with explosive combat power. Although it is not as good as the Dragon Ball world, it is still enough to defeat the current Awakeners of Blue Star. The 18 Apostles in the Eva world possess powers close to those of gods. If it was Unit 0 that was brought back by humans, part of Lilith's body was accidentally manipulated, causing her to go berserk, and human civilization could declare its end in advance. Zhang Lan couldn't help but look at Zhang Anping repeatedly. Brother, you are so brave, you brought Unit 0 to Blue Star. Do you know how high the upper limit of combat power is in that world? If you mess around and have another Apostle attack, Blue Star humanity will be gone. Zhang Lan suddenly felt tired. These people really didn't understand anything. If you drive fast on the edge of a cliff with your eyes closed, sooner or later you will drive this little old car of human civilization into an abyss. Judging from the information he currently has, the beast space should be a composite spiritual realm that combines the monster universe and the Eva world. Based on the analysis of what happened in spiritual realm number 5, Zhang Lan also had a vague guess about the invasion of Blue Star from the world of ferocious beasts. It was most likely that one of the awakened ones was messing around in the spiritual realm, causing chaos in the monster universe and the Eva world. In the end, the spiritual realm could no longer bear it and collapsed completely. Endless beasts invaded Blue Star, triggering a decades-long beast chaos. Zhang Lan covered his forehead, groaned in pain, and gave sincere advice. I think at this stage, we should not disturb the ferocious beasts in the ferocious beast space, otherwise, it may cause a greater disaster. Su Hao spread his hands and said helplessly, "Why don't we know this truth? You and Ning Tong are in a period of rapid growth. With your strength, the spiritual realm before the 10th will not cause you much trouble." He smiled bitterly, "But I'm afraid China cannot afford to delay." Su Hao revealed a piece of news that shocked everyone present. According to the undersea sonar, the dragon-level ferocious beast 001 is swimming towards the mainland of China. If nothing unexpected happens, it is likely to land in the west of the Magic City in a week. It ignores the ferocious beast's force field. Once it lands, will cause at least tens of millions of casualties. Hearing the news, Zhonglan was shocked. The Magic City was less than 200 kilometers away from Sanjiang City. Godzilla could reach this distance in an hour. By then, even if he, Yu Ling, and Su Hao can work together to expel Godzilla, Sanjiang City may be completely reduced to ashes. Moreover, Godzilla ignores nuclear bombs. Nuclear radiation is the nutrient for his growth. Even if China uses nuclear weapons to fight, it may not be possible. When Ning Tong heard what Yu Ling said, she also understood the seriousness of the matter and turned to Zhong Lan with a consulting look. Zhong Lan knew about this matter, which was as big as it was related to all mankind, as small as it was related to the life and safety of his family, and Liaoning, Sanjiang University. Zhong Lan had regarded the university as his second home. A real man has something to do and something not to do. He takes action when it's time to take action. Otherwise, what's the use of being so strong? Yu Ling suggested, "So it's best to only take Ning Tong with you this time. We will do our best to ensure her safety. We only need the help of Ning Tong's innate ability, which is the hidden space she is currently using. When encountering danger that is difficult to resist, we can hide in the space at any time to temporarily avoid the sharp edge." Ning Tong said simply and firmly, "If Zhong Lan doesn't go, I won't go either. Wherever he is, I will be." Although several people had thought that this might be the result, when they actually heard Ning Tong say it now, they could only look at each other, shake their heads and smile bitterly. Ning Tong is good at everything, but this love brain really makes people speechless. Ning Tong said disdainfully, "You are only half as good as Zhong Lan, and my intuition tells me that you may not be as powerful as Zhong Lan. Zhong Lan possesses all kinds of magical talents such as transformation and turtle qigong. If you really try your best, you may not win or lose." And Ning Tong has always suspected that Zhong Lan's talent has the ability to predict the future, otherwise how to explain his various miraculous predictions in the spiritual realm. "I will soon reach spiritual realm number 6, and I must not let anything happen at this time." The tacit understanding cultivated with Zhong Lan over a long period of time allowed her to trust Zhong Lan wholeheartedly. She couldn't trust others as much as she trusted Zhong Lan. Thinking of the upcoming number 6 spiritual realm, Ning Tong took a deep breath and prayed devoutly in her heart. "Wait for me, Mom, I'm coming to save you." Yu Ling kindly advised Ning Tong, "This mission is very dangerous. Even Su Hao and I have to be careful to take care of you. If we take Zhong Lan with us, we may not be able to take good care of it. If something goes wrong, everyone will regret it." Ning Tong shook his head. "Needless to say, I listen to Zhong Lan. If he says to go, I will go with you. Otherwise, I will not go." Everyone could only helplessly turn their attention to Zhong Lan. Zhong Lan knew it was time for him to make a decision, so he put away his faint smile and said in a deep voice, "If this mecha is completely repaired, what kind of strength will it have? Can it defeat dragon-level beasts?" Zhang Anping answered him, "The significance of the mecha is that we will have the combat power to compete head-on with the dragon-level beasts. Currently, we do not lack the means to harm the dragon-level beasts. It turns out that the Furious Emperor, as the main force, can confront the dragon-level beasts head-on. With him taking a back seat, neither Emperor Yu nor Emperor Su will be able to confront the dragon-level ferocious beast head-on." Zhong Lan understood that the Furious Emperor was the main T, the one who resisted damage on the battlefield, Yu Ling was the mage, and Su Hao was the thief. The three complemented each other to withstand the dragon-level ferocious beasts. With the retirement of the Wrath Emperor, the Iron Triangle was missing, resulting in the Chinese nation not being able to fight the dragon-level ferocious beast head-on. Zhang Anping saw that Zhang Lan understood the seriousness of the matter and nodded. There are 13 dragon-level ferocious beasts on Blue Star. So far, there are only records of being repulsed, and there is no precedent for being killed. If the mecha can move for a long time, maybe we can try to kill the dragon-level ferocious beasts and put an end to it completely. Beast Crisis. As someone who knows the performance of EVA mechas, Zhang Lan knows very well that the biggest problem with EVA mechas is insufficient battery life. The internal structure of the EVA mecha is actually a clone of Lilith. With human wisdom, any attempt to gain access to the power of God is doomed to fail. But if it is really the EVA world, there is an artifact that is very valuable, and that is the gun of Longinus. This gun crucified Apostle number 1, Adam, in the Antarctic until humans pulled it out, triggering the second impact. From this point of view, the spear of Longinus should have the power of sealing. The creature penetrated by it will have all abilities sealed and completely fall into silence. Zhang Anping's next words made Zhang Lan completely determined. Moreover, the two mechas brought out at the beginning are interoperable. This mecha suddenly restored itself, which is probably related to the other mecha. When Zhang Lan heard the news, his eyes suddenly narrowed. Another mecha was captured by God's punishment and suddenly began to recover. It seemed that their attempt to take Ning Tong's talent did not end with the last failure. They sent out Awakeners but couldn't defeat it, so they shamelessly went straight to the mecha. If God's punishment captured Unit 0 or Unit 1, its combat power would be comparable to that of an apostle. In comparison, the awakened one should be an 8th level or even 9th level being. Not to mention the AT position, if he couldn't use Saitama Sensei's punch that broke the barrier, he might be helpless against the EVA mecha. Zhang Lan immediately made up his mind that he had to go to the ferocious beast space. On the one hand, he wanted to see if he could investigate clearly what happened that year. On the other hand, you have to get the Spear of Longinus, which is the ultimate weapon against the apostles. Zhang Lan nodded to Ning Tong and said in a deep voice. Whenever we leave, we will go with you, but we have agreed first that when encountering irresistible danger, Ning Tong and I will take self-preservation as the first priority. He looked at Ning Tong, who smiled and nodded. The tacit understanding between the two allows them to understand each other with just one look without the need for words. Ning Tong unconditionally trusts Zhang Lan and will bring her safely back to the real world. When Yu Ling saw this scene where the two of them had a good rapport, and then looked at the careless Su Hao, she couldn't help but sigh inwardly. She looked serious. Tomorrow morning, the ferocious beast space used to be a spiritual realm, but the coordinates are blocked. Director Zhang will open the permissions. We can directly reach the entrance of the ferocious beast space through the teleportation circle. Zhang Lan nodded and said to Ning Zhengxin, Principal, please don't worry, I will bring Tongtong back safely. Lao Ning looked at his firm and handsome face, feeling an inexplicable sense of trust in his heart, and he nodded. Both of you, be well and come back together. As the hidden space was released, there was a rapid knock on the door. Principal, it's bad, Renpeng was arrested. Renpeng was arrested. The first reaction of Zhang Lan and Principal Ning was that the Awakening Bureau had taken action against the classmates around him. Zhang Lan opened the door and saw Tang Yu at the door, his face full of anxiety. He asked Tang Yu, what happened, who took Renpeng away and for what reason? Zhang Lan gears up, very good, you scum of the Awakening Bureau, have you finally taken action against the people around me? It's time to hit you back with thunder. He was going to the ferocious beast space tomorrow. Even if he broke through the sky today, Yuling and Su Hao would still have to carry him. Tang Yu lowered his head, with a shy expression, as if it was difficult to speak, and spoke slowly. After Zhang Lan heard this, his eyes suddenly widened. Ah, what, is Renpeng crazy? He did such a thing. Half an hour later, Zhang Lan saw Renpeng at the Sanjiang City Police Station. He covered his face with his hands and huddled in a temporary cell. Zhang Lan was explaining to Officer Zhang. He is a freshman at our Sanjiang University. He was definitely confused for a moment. Let's forget it this time and don't leave a stain on his life. Officer Zhang had also just been greeted by Shangfeng. In order to avoid leaving a stain on this young man's future life, he would forget it this time. If he does it again next time, he will be severely punished. His solemn face was filled with dissatisfaction. Looking for a young lady, just looking for a young lady. What did he lie to me about? He was a high school classmate of his. He owed someone 1,000 yuan before. He made an appointment to repay the money today. To make it easier to open a house and repay the money. Isn't this an insult to our intelligence? Zhang Lan laughed and argued forcefully. Let's just say, it's not impossible. It might just be such a coincidence. When Officer Zhang heard this, he immediately stopped and turned to look at Zhang Lan. Are your high school classmates 2 rounds older than you? Zhang Lan was also stunned. How big is it? 2 rounds. Pengapong, you have strong tastes. What happened in the past few days when you lost Kunkan? Zhang Lan gritted his teeth, hesitating whether to reveal the story of Renpeng's transformation into Renpeng, so that his PC crime would be resolved naturally. How could he be convicted without the tools to commit the crime? But after thinking for a long time, he sighed and chose to hide all this for Renpeng. He could also understand Renpeng's mood. As a good young man, no one would be able to accept the loss of his younger brother. If people knew that he had turned into an airplane boy, his mental illness would probably be even more serious. After a series of complicated procedures involving signatures and deposits, Zhang Lan finally took Renpeng out of the police station. Zhang Lan couldn't help but ask Pengapong, "What do you think? Go to PC and your dead kun is back." Renpeng shook his head with a look of despair and said in frustration, "I just want to test whether I can make my brother change his mind through stimulation." When Zhang Lan heard this, he immediately stopped and looked at Renpeng seriously. So, was it successful? Renpeng gritted his teeth and showed a ferocious face. "No, I haven't even finished taking off my pants. I don't know which beast reported me. If I know who did it, I will kill him." Renpeng's expression changed and he said with a playful smile, "Brother Lan, you don't know, that girl is on point. She has big bare legs and black stockings, tisk tisk, now that I think about it, I feel so excited for my brother." Zhang Lan couldn't help but cover her face. Officer Zhang said, "The woman who stumbled was 2 rounds older than Pengapong, which means she was at least 40 years old. How could she get there on time? Pengapong, you just lost Kunkan, you are not blind. It's a good thing that your brother ran away from home, otherwise he would regret it for the rest of his life when he went deep behind enemy lines." Zhang Lan sighed and patted Renpeng on the shoulder. "Sorry, there are many magical items in the spiritual realm. There will definitely be a chance to bring your brother back in the future." Renpeng grabbed Zhang Lan's wrist in surprise. Really, Brother Lan?" Zhang Lan nodded. "Just like the 7 Dragon Balls in the Dragon Ball world, if you make a wish, Pengapong will naturally become Pengapong. But if the Dragon Balls are used to make wishes for this purpose, I wonder if Shenlong will be so angry that he commits suicide." Renpeng burst into tears and knelt on the ground hugging Zhang Lan's thigh. "Brother, you are my real brother. From now on, I will do whatever you tell me to do. If you ask me to go east, I will never go west. If you ask me to eat shit, I will never drink urine." Zhang Lan was still accepting Renpeng's compliments. When he heard the last sentence, he quickly kicked Renpeng away in disgust. "It was so disgusting. I don't have that habit. It is better to stay away from Renpeng in the future." As expected, a man who has lost his brother will inevitably feel a little perverted. Early the next morning, Zhang Lan, Ning Tong, Yu Ling, and Su Hao stood in the teleportation circle. Zhang Anping connected a complex instrument next to the transmission circle, operated it a few times, and said in a deep voice, "The 4 of you are the hope of China now and in the future. Once you find that something cannot be done, please give up in time and take self-preservation as the first priority." Yu Ling nodded and closed her eyes. "No need to say more, let's get started." As the light flashed, the 4 people in the teleportation circle turned into streams of light, flew directly into the sky, and disappeared. Principal Ning and Uncle Wang stood in the principal's office, watching them leave. Lao Ning couldn't help but sigh. "Aren't you going to see them off?" Lao Wang's expression froze. His current identity was very embarrassing. If he showed up rashly, Zhang Lan would probably see a flaw. Then, where should he put his old face? He coughed. "I won't give it away. Ling Ling and Xiaohao have come here in a big storm. With Ning Tong's talent, they can definitely complete the task safely. How can you, Lao Ning, let Ning Tong do such a dangerous thing?" There was a wry smile on Lao Ning's face, and he shook his head. When embarking on the path of an awakened person, she can only keep moving forward. If she encounters some danger, let her give up. It is better to just give up her talent. He looked straight again and asked the angry emperor. Your body, doesn't it matter? The angry emperor chuckled, his eyes full of killing intent. I am a transformed awakener. Maintaining normality will greatly delay the time when I am incapacitated. I still have one last chance to take action with all my strength. I am waiting for him. The sudden revival of the mecha means that he is also waiting. Don't be in a hurry. It was no different from spiritual teleportation. Zhong Lan felt that his vision went dark and he came to a blood-red world. The air is filled with a black-red aura, the sky is also dark red, and even the breath blown by the wind carries a trace of corruption. The whole world is like an old man who is about to die at the end of his life, making heavy groans all the time. Zhong Lan was shocked and quickly looked at Ning Tong, worried that everyone would be naked again, but then he found that everyone was well dressed, and he was relieved. Yu Ling's voice came from his ear. Removing all items is the mechanism of the spiritual realm. In this world, the spiritual realm has completely collapsed, so there is no need to worry about the problem of being honest. Su Hao smiled. Awakened ones, you are always walking on the edge of life and death. What does it mean if you have a bare butt? You have also experienced several spiritual realms. Zhong Lan, you are so handsome, you must be very popular. How about those big bear girls abroad? They are so watery. Not much. Yu Ling interrupted him coldly, her voice sounding like it was coming from hell. If you talk in a pornographic tone again, you will go back to Blue Star. Su Hao's face froze and he secretly said to Zhong Lan. Yu Ling is not good at this. I have nothing to do with her. She always takes care of me. Even when I have in-depth exchanges with foreign girls, she interrupts me several times. Zhong Lan didn't know what expression he should put on at this moment. This is the grudge between the two emperors of China. Tell me, are you trying to find a chance to silence me? In the ferocious beast space, because there is no sign of human activity, vegetation grows wildly. Weeds are as tall as a person, and ordinary trees grow to a height of tens of meters. Human beings appear extremely small in this world. Yu Ling used her mental power to create a map in the air, marking where they were and where they were going. This is the route that our seniors spent their lives exploring 5 years ago. Our mission is to enter the underground base, obtain detailed information on the mechas, and investigate the truth behind the ferocious space invasion of Blue Star. After saying that, Yu Ling walked into the jungle without looking back, while Su Hao spread his hands, expressing his helplessness, and followed him into the jungle. The two people were left in embarrassment. They looked at each other, and Ning Tong pouted and said viciously. If you dare to be like Su Huang, I will cut it for you while you sleep. Zhong Lan approached her and said with a smile. You can give it a try, I'm afraid the scissors aren't big enough. Just kidding, little scissors wants to hurt my Iron Kun, I can only say you are dreaming. Unless you sacrifice your universe circle, you will probably beat him until he vomits. Anyway, Zhong Lan had no plans to do anything to Ning Tong before graduation. After all, if this fool-up mechanism of the spiritual realm is introduced accidentally, will the fetus be considered an item or an awakened person? You can't just peel it off before going in and return it when you come back. Zhong Lan is very puzzled by this question. When he gets the chance, he must find someone to consult in detail. After all, the child is innocent. Before he had a definite answer, he did not plan to make any substantial progress with Ning Tong. At most, it reaches the level of kissing a small mouth and touching a big headlight. I am really a gentleman. Zhong Lan thought proudly. Ning Tong couldn't help but widen her beautiful eyes and looked at Zhong Lan, her raised eyelashes blinking. What were you thinking just now? Why do I feel so vulgar? Zhong Lan's face stiffened, and you could see it. It's so shameless to have such high mental power. Can I still have some privacy? Yu Ling's voice came from afar. Hurry up and catch up. It will be difficult if you are discovered by a dragon-level ferocious beast. Zhong Lan and Ning Tong quickly walked into the jungle and found that the insects in the world of ferocious beasts were ridiculously large, as if they had eaten pig feed. Mosquitoes are about the size of a human head, buzzing and circling in the air, and their sharp mouthparts are like daggers. If you get a mouthful of blood from this thing, you will die from open wounds even if you don't die from excessive blood loss. Ordinary people might not be able to survive for even an hour in this world filled with giant terrifying creatures. Yu Ling took out several single-sided glasses-style instruments and distributed them to everyone. This is the Chinese Academy of Sciences. Based on the combat effectiveness detector you brought back from the number 4 spiritual realm, the latest XR detector imitated can detect the enemy's combat effectiveness. There are only a few of them, so use them with caution. Zhong Lan took the glasses, put them on, and pressed the switch. Lines of green characters were quickly loaded in front of him, and finally a prompt popped up. The loading of the combat effectiveness detector is completed. Produced by the Chinese Academy of Sciences, it is far ahead. Zhong Lan looked at Yu Ling and immediately displayed Yu Ling's detailed information. Yu Ling, S1 Talent Awakener, Combat Power 25,876. Su Hao, S2 Talent Awakener, Combat Power 22,987. He turned to look at Ning Tong. Ning Tong, S0 Talent Awakener, Combat Power 1274. Zhong Lan couldn't help but nodded. The detector was surprisingly useful. I didn't expect that in such a short period of time, the Chinese Academy of Sciences would be able to imitate the combat effectiveness detector to this level. He noticed that everyone looked at him strangely and couldn't help but ask. What's wrong? Why do you all look at me so strangely? Ning Tong came over and whispered to him. Your combat power is too low, only over 300. Ning Tong knew Zhong Lan's true situation. Ever since she became a disciple of teacher Wu Tian in the number 4 spiritual realm, Zhong Lan had learned how to control her own aura. In her perception, she was almost on the same level as Renpeng and the others. Zhong Lan's expression suddenly went blank. He was usually used to suppressing his aura to the lowest level. On the one hand, it can prevent others from seeing the clues, on the other hand, it can reduce one's own consumption and relieve hunger. Therefore, I am used to displaying my level as a third-order level, and as a result, I see abnormalities in the detector. He relaxed a little and asked Ning Tong, how much fighting power do I have now? Ning Tong nodded and said, more than 1,400. Zhong Lan felt that he couldn't be higher than Ning Tong, so he lowered his combat power a little. What now? Ning Tong nodded. Not bad now, 986. Zhong Lan nodded, maintaining this value is still reasonable. After all, no matter how rubbish his talent is, the natural increase in his attributes is almost zero, and the potential points gained from 5 spiritual realms alone should reach the 4th level. There is no reason for the combat power to be as low as over 300, which is only the 3rd level. Yu Ling and Su Hao looked at the detector and saw Zhong Lan's combat power changing randomly. They couldn't help but tap the detector a few times before the value finally stabilized. They both thought, this thing is still unreliable. Why are the values changing all the time, and he hasn't transformed? Among the few talents among the awakened that can transform, the combat power value can be changed. For example, King Zongshu of the Furious Emperor, before his transformation and after his transformation, his combat power value differed by more than 10 times. But Yu Ling and the others have never seen an awakened person whose combat power value can change in normal form. After all, the magical martial arts of Kame Senryu are beyond their imagination. They felt that there was something wrong with the detector, which was normal. After everyone debugged the combat effectiveness detector, before they could move forward, they found a red exclamation mark displayed on the detector. Warning: a creature with a combat power of 38,354 is approaching. Warning. Yu Ling and Su Hao quickly squatted down and said to Zhong Lan and Ning Tong, lie down and be silent. Don't make any noise. The ferocious beast has very good hearing. A few people lay down in the grass. A few minutes later, a huge lizard-like monster flew across the sky. It had huge wings and its wingspan was 100 meters long when stretched out. It passed over Zhong Lan and the others, causing huge fluctuations in the air, and the towering trees and grass in the woods roared violently. After the dragon-level ferocious beast flew away, Yu Ling warned them with lingering fear. The ferocious beast space is very dangerous. Don't go up into the air unless you have to. Otherwise, if we are provoked by such a flying dragon-level ferocious beast, even Su Hao and I will definitely be devastated. Zhong Lan also looked shocked. Good guy, this is a true dragon-level ferocious beast. Flying dragons have appeared, and its combat power has reached an astonishing 30,000. Waiting for the flying dragon to go away, they continued on their way. When they encountered a ferocious beast that they couldn't avoid, they hid in Ning Tong's hiding space. Finally, there was no danger and the first day was spent safely. According to their current speed, they will arrive at the underground base marked on the map at noon the next day. However, Zhong Lan's mood became more and more heavy. The ferocious beasts he saw along the way were so bizarre that it was difficult to describe them in words. It was as if the monsters in the monster world had broken through reproductive isolation with Eva's apostles and gave birth to offspring whose appearance often surpassed Zhong Lan's imagination. For example, that one has 7 or 8 kunkans growing on the top of its head, and that one has nana all over its face. Faced with this situation, combined with the technological capabilities of the Eva world, Zhong Lan had a faint guess in his heart, but he had to wait until he entered the underground base to make a final judgment. Zhong Lan could only hope that the underground base would be well preserved and not be too damaged by ferocious beasts. That night, several people found a cave to rest for a while. Some ferocious beasts were extremely active at night. Yu Ling and Su Hao brought a lot of ferocious beast spirit jerky with them. They had very good appetites and ate most of the ferocious beast spirit jerky in a short time. Zhong Lan and Ning Tong each ate a small piece and felt full. Yu Ling and Su Hao exchanged vague glances. In fact, they had always had doubts about Zhong Lan's strength. There was no reason that a 4th-level awakened person could achieve his level. He has repeatedly created miracles in the spiritual realm and set unprecedented records. To be honest, Yu Ling and Su Hao were also geniuses when they were in school, but in front of Zhong Lan and Ning Tong, their genius level was no different from that of adulterated fakes. To say once or twice can be explained by good luck, but 3 or 5 times is definitely not a coincidence. Ning Tong's talent is mysterious in the eyes of others, but there is no secret in their eyes. After all, when they reached their level, many things were no longer mysterious. They knew very well what Ning Tong could do. During this ferocious beast space exploration trip, they also wanted to test Zhong Lan's strength. Before I knew it, there were 2 tests in total. The first time was using the combat power detector. Although the value was a little abnormal at first, it has since stabilized at more than 900. Another time is to observe Zhong Lan through his food intake. If Zhong Lan hides his strength, his food intake will betray him. The amount of energy that 7th and 8th level powerhouses need to replenish every day is very scary. When eating other foods, the more you eat, the hungrier you get. Only the spirit meat of ferocious beasts can barely make up for the daily deficit. In the end, Zhong Lan only ate a piece of ferocious beast spirit meat jerky and was full. This shows that Zhong Lan's daily consumption is very small. In fact, Zhong Lan's appetite has not changed to the same level as theirs. There are 2 reasons for this. One is the qi condensation technique of the Turtle Immortal School, which allows him to maintain a low consumption state at all times. The other is the constantly upgrading superhuman talent, which can satisfy the body's daily energy consumption by absorbing sunlight. Both tests showed that Zhong Lan was just an ordinary 4th-level enhanced awakener. Apart from being handsome and having good luck, there was really nothing special about him. Although there are still many doubts, it seems that the result is like this at the moment. The 2 nodded to each other and stopped paying too much attention to Zhong Lan. They rested until midnight when they suddenly heard a huge sound of fighting in the distance. The ground was shaking, and rocks were falling from the roof of the cave. Several people were awakened, and when they walked out of the cave, they saw a huge orangutan fighting a deformed monster under the full moon in the distance. The 2 monsters are at least 100 meters tall. They are deformed monsters. The upper body looks like a fish, and the lower body is formed by dozens of tentacles, which can float in midair. The gorilla held a bronze axe, roared, jumped up, and struck hard at the deformed monster, but was blocked by the black-red stance emerging from the surface of the deformed monster's body. Ning Tong's eyes widened in surprise and asked Zhong Lan, "Is that gorilla Vegeta from the 4th spiritual realm? How did he come to the beast dimension?" Zhong Lan shook his head. Although the 2 orangutans looked similar, the gorilla in front of him was obviously not a Saiyan. It was another big boss in the monster world, King Kong. Another deformed monster looks like a mutant of the Apostle. Judging from its attack method, it has an AT stance and a death ray. It is very powerful and has threatened King Kong's life several times. The bronze axe in King Kong's hand is also a magical weapon. It can block the Apostle's death ray without being damaged. When the bronze axe strikes the Apostle, its surface can sometimes light up with red light. Once the red light appears, this blow will definitely break the Apostle's AT stance and cut a deep wound on it. The battle between the two giant monsters lasted for a long time, from early morning until the sun rose. The Apostle's endurance was obviously much greater than that of King Kong. After fighting for a long time, King Kong gradually became exhausted and turned around to retreat. But he was entangled from behind by the huge deformed Apostle, and his tentacles stabbed towards the heart of King Kong's chest. King Kong experienced a series of fierce battles and was somewhat exhausted. He roared and grasped the tentacles tightly with both palms, but his chest hair was gradually pierced by the tentacles, and he let out a helpless wail. Zhong Lan's eyes darkened. He knew that King Kong was kind to humans. If he could help him once, would he be able to gain a helper from a dragon-level ferocious beast? He said to Yuling and Su Hao in a deep voice. "Boy, can you go help that gorilla?" Yuling and Su Hao's eyes widened in surprise. "What do you think? Go help the dragon-level ferocious beasts. They kill each other. It's too late for us to be happy. If one of these two enters the blue star through the space entrance, it will be a disaster for mankind, especially the big one." Orangutans, who are obviously intelligent, are probably not affected by the beast's dispersing force field. Seeing that King Kong was about to lose his strength, Zhong Lan had no time to talk nonsense with them, so she turned around and said to Ning Tong, "Tong Tong, take me there." Ning Tong nodded, and the two of them lit up with blue light and flew towards the scene of the battle. Yuling and Su Hao were afraid that their strength would fluctuate too much and attract more powerful beasts, so they did not dare to stop them. However, in a few breaths, Zhong Lan and Ning Tong flew away. The two martial emperors looked at each other, feeling helpless and angry in their hearts. Zhong Lan acted so willfully on the first day he entered the ferocious beast space. He really shouldn't have been brought here. What's even more annoying is that Ning Tong still accompanies him in his mischief to save some vicious beast. You know, history has proven that all ferocious beasts are the enemies of mankind. Wouldn't it be better for both sides to lose in a fight? I don't know what these two freshmen are thinking in their minds. What is the most powerful new life? The name does not live up to the reality. But at this point, they had no other choice. For fear of attracting powerful ferocious beasts, Yuling did not dare to activate the biological force field, so she could only jump quickly from the ground to follow in case of accidents. Arriving above the Apostle, Zhong Lan saw King Kong's mouth wide open in pain and blood spurting out of his chest. He had no time to explain, so he said to Ning Tong, "Put me down." Ning Tong's eyes widened in surprise, but out of trust in Zhong Lan, she just warned him uneasily. "Careful." Then he let go of Zhong Lan, and Zhong Lan fell freely, falling from high altitude towards the Apostle's huge one eye. Yuling and Su Hao saw this scene from a distance, their pupils shrank violently and they shouted loudly. "Don't want. Zhong Lan only has the strength of the 4th level. If he is brushed aside by a dragon-level ferocious beast, he will be shattered into pieces and die without a whole body." Yuling no longer cared about hiding her strength. A green biological force field appeared all over her body, and she flew up, trying to prevent Zhong Lan from falling onto the Apostle. But it was too late. The big green hand transformed by her mental power was a few meters short of catching Zhong Lan. All he could do was watch Zhong Lan fall freely onto the huge beast. That feeling of powerlessness instantly surrounded her body. Yuling bit her lips tightly, feeling desperate inside. "You are such a good person, how could you be so stupid that you seek death? How can I explain to Uncle Wang when I go back?" Before coming out, the new emperor specifically told them to take good care of Zhong Lan and Ning Tong, and repeatedly mentioned Zhong Lan, saying that Zhong Lan was the son of an old friend of his, and asked them to take more care of them. It turned out that it was only the first day, and Zhong Lan was about to die at the hands of a dragon-level ferocious beast. Although she was seeking death herself, she was also responsible for her poor supervision. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.